throne of skulls.
Welcome, my friends, to ECL Season 4 Qualifier number 5. Hope you're all doing well. Another midweek stream because I'm going to be taking this weekend relatively off. It's going to be pretty relaxed. Maybe Sunday night there might be a stream or something like that. But Italian Spartacus will be streaming on Saturday. He's going to be doing a tournament. And of course, there's going to be some other great events going on the weekend as well. So fear not. But nonetheless, this is going to be our ECL for the week. So welcome, guys. I hope you're all doing well. It's good to see some familiar faces. 173 people here ready to go. I dig it. So as far as the tournament goes today, we did have some slight delays simply because Steam was actually down for the first hour of our tournament. So we had to push things back a little bit. Players are a little bit behind as it pertains to catching up here on the bracket. But nonetheless, let's do a breakdown of our previous ECLs. So in the first week of Season 4, we had A-Move Hacker qualify with a very impressive run, followed up by Falcon in the second week. Flying Taco, of course, you guys saw him in the Faction War tournament as the champion of the Beastmen. He was able to actually take second place with the Beastmen in the Faction War. Really, really amazing performance for sure. But Flying Taco was our third qualifier, so he is going to be there as well. And of course, to no surprise, Talaxlan Soothsayer, the Herald of the Old Ones, emerged from hiding for our ECL and came out and won it and qualified for the ECL Season 4 Finals. So again, for anyone who's not familiar with the ECL format, it's 8 weeks of qualifiers with the 9th tournament being essentially a grand stream. So it's an 8-player big Papa tournament where, we have substantial prize support usually, not every single time. It's been a little bit lower in some than others, but we try. It's basically like a mini Ever Chosen. So very, very cool stuff indeed. And today, guys, we're going to be seeing who is going to be going for the 5th spot here in the ECL. So let's go ahead and pull up the brackets for today so you guys can see the tail of the tape so far. Let's find that here, and there we go. Perfect. So this is the tail of the tape for today's tournament. So currently we're waiting on the top side of the bracket here to finish, and that'll be our first match of the day. So far we have ODM Imperator. Let me make sure you guys can actually see everything. Yeah, you can see it more or less. But we have Imperator. So he is actually the only individual who's qualified for the top 4 so far, or who has gotten to the top 4. But he was able to take a 2-0 victory over Mukhip, who's obviously a very, very skilled tournament player as well. A 2-0 against Undertaker, another tournament veteran. And then in the beginning, he had a 2-0 against Ark in the Black, who of course has played in many tournaments as well. So an insanely powerful run from Imperator today. Very, very good performance. Now on the top side of the bracket, if we look, we have Faust facing off against a Rubber Duck of War. I believe they're in their game 2 or game 3, so those two gentlemen must be pretty close to finishing. And at this point, the winner of that will be our first match of the day, facing off against Imperator. And now on the bottom side of the bracket, make sure everything is good here. I'm doing really well. Yes, I'm doing great. Lord Bartholomew's. Pleasure, man. Pleasure. A Rod Stewart song, huh? That'd be pretty good. I like a couple Rod Stewart songs. Yeah, in college I used to enjoy a couple of those. Now on the bottom side of the bracket, you can see up top it's going to be Faust or a Rubber Duck of War facing off against Imperator, who's been on an absolute tear today, not dropping a single game against 3 very seasoned tournament players. Now on the bottom side, it looks like Zablaski did just take a victory over Liam H0410. So Zablaski is going to be on the other side of the bracket. Of course, we've seen Zablaski in the top 4 of several ECL qualifiers. He's a perpetual contender, an extremely good player. Likes his Wood Elves for sure. Very good high elf player as well. So yeah, we're going to be seeing Zablaski face off against the winner of Ulrich Rahl and Park Map. So that is kind of the tale of the tape for the day. And now, guys, we're going to jump over to the lobby and just hang tight for a minute as we wait for our last player. It shouldn't take more than probably 5 minutes, I would imagine. It's going to be relatively short, and we can basically just allow more people to gather so they won't miss the first game. And it looks like, oh, perfect timing. So Faust actually won the series with a 2-0 victory. He accidentally put the score in a little bit wrong here, so we'll go ahead and fix that in challenge. There you go. Submit scores. Boom. Because obviously you can't 3-0 someone in a best of 3. So our first match of the day is going to be Faust versus Imperator. That is like impeccable timing. I was just getting around to it. So let's go ahead and update this right now. And it is going to be Faust, the real Faust, as I think his name actually says. And I guess there must be some Faust imposters here in the realm. And we'll go ahead and update the bracket for the day, which Soothsayer was left over from a previous tournament. So let's go ahead and put Faust here. And we will come back to the main lobby and we should be all good to go. So players, of course, are going to be doing their picks and bans, which is standard for these events here. Hey, Faust it is. So yes, let's go ahead and get Faust invited. Faust, if you are indeed watching, you know the password. It's in the Discord. We got him invited, and we're going to be beginning on Castle Drakenhof. So we are using a pick and ban system. So the players will start, the player on the top side of the challenge bracket, which is the website we're using to host these tournaments, will do their first pick and a double ban. Now, in best of 5s, you switch the banning to or just a single ban instead of a double ban, because if you go to the full 5 matches, and you're just banning 2 per, it just gets a little bit ridiculous in that sense. So I'm going to go ahead and tag Faust, let him know to join the lobby. All right. Lobby's up. Good luck, good luck. Send it. All right, guys, thanks for joining. Hoping to see in vain a winning Grimgor build this season. Ooh, Garland, that's a tough request. That's a tough request. What's up, Alex Hughes? Finally caught a live stream. Welcome. Grimgor, hero of the people. I don't think we're going to see Grimgor. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see Grimgor. That would be a pretty bold proposition for sure, but the lad Grimgor. All right. Picks and bans. Good luck, good luck. Yes, Drakenhof is indeed the map. Players can now do their picks and bans, so we'll see what they end up going with. The first time I played Imperator, so I used to play quite a bit of ladder. I still do here and there. I jump on, but I was playing ladder and I ran into Imperator. I'd never played him before, nor had he ever played in my tournaments. And this was when I was Vampire Coast was pretty damn powerful. I would say it was before the nerfs. They were pretty strong. And I played Imperator's Empire, and he, I had been on a tear. I don't think I had lost with Vampire Coast in 7 or 8 games. And then I just played against Imperator, and he beat me with a really cool Empire build. The replay's up on the channel, but it's obviously probably almost a year old now, or whenever Vampire Coast came out. But yeah, he's a really, really good player for sure. So I'm excited to see this. So Faust is going to go Empire, and he's banning Dwarves and Norske. So Dwarves have a good matchup versus Empire for sure. And Norske is an interesting one. I feel like I don't know if I would call that a counter, but again, everyone's playstyle, of course, has weaknesses. Some people might not be playing against rush factions and whatnot, but I would say those picks and bans are pretty good. So now it is time for Imperator to pick. And yes, we are live. Yes. Start when ready. No need to wait. Imperator asking if we're live. Yes, indeed we are on the Castle Drakenhof. The audience can pick my army. Chaos. That might take too long to run polls. Well, you guys can let us know in chat what you'd like, and Imperator is more than welcome to look in chat. Free to look at chat. Faust says, man to the people. So, guys, Imperator wants you guys to pick his faction. Chaos, High Elves, Dark Elves, or Wood Elves. So that's what he's going to be playing. So you guys feel free to say it in chat. Let us know what you want him to play. Head to stream chat to see. I feel like it's going to be all over the place unless we do a poll, but you know, polls take a while to set up. They can be a little bit annoying and clunky. So we'll see. He's going to head over to stream chat, I'm sure, and he can see what you guys want. Just launched Grimgore into battle. I know. Man, watching these ECL games makes me want to jump back into Warhammer 2. Do it, man. Come join the fun. I want Chaos. Personally, I would like to see him play Chaos, because Chaos vs. Empire is very fun. Chaos calls Grimgore. There's one Grimgore. All right, so I'll let Faust know. It seems like most of you guys are saying Chaos. They said Chaos. Chat did. But up to you, of course. But up to you, of course. So we'll see what he picks. It looks like he's going with Dark Elves, but he may switch based on the will of the people. It's like the Roman arena with thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up for Chaos, thumbs down for Dark Elves, apparently. And we'll see what he goes with. We will see what he goes with. It seems like Chaos. But regardless, I mean, guys, it's best of 3, so he can play Chaos next game if he wants to. So we'll see. We will see. But it looks like he's going with Dark Elves for now. Maybe he didn't. He just decided before he went to chat. We'll see. Too late. He says too late. Okay, so he's staying with Dark Elves. All right. The mob is fickle. The thumbs down now. Yeah. But anyways, he's Dark Elves vs. Empire. This is an interesting one. Now, Scourge Runners are pretty good here. Obviously, they can pound down the Empire heavy cav. But, you know, I don't think we'll see him. Empire cannon play can really be great against Scourge Runner Chariots. Chariots really get hammered by artillery pretty well. So, I mean, there's some give and take there, but as far as his picks, we'll probably see like Bleak Swords, Dreadspears, Coldwind Knights, Malekith, or Marathi, like a very traditional kind of a cav contesting game, trying to beat down the Empire Knights and eventually get into the back line. From Faust, there's a number of options. Empire is a very dynamic faction. You can see the Volkswagen. I'm actually a huge fan of the Volkswagen. I think he's very, very good in this matchup as well. So yeah, we'll see. Castle Drakenhof is relatively open field. Granted, Imperator does have a couple options as it pertains to where he can hide. He's got the tree line there. If you guys look at the minimap, you can see he has the little kind of a brush, and there's a big line of sight blocking rock as well. So if he has like a value piece he wants to hide, he can. I'm quite curious to see how these players play it. These are two factions. I'm okay at Empire. Dark Elves definitely one of my weaker points. But yeah, excited to see how these guys play it out. We will see indeed. Why don't people play Mel Gibson? So oftentimes you don't see Mel Gibson simply because of how powerful Prey of Anathrema is and like Dragon Lords and things like that. But he's not bad for sure. A rubber duck of war is here. He had a glorious match against Faust, apparently. He says, let's go, Faust. The blessings of the duck go with you. Have you heard of the High Elves? Oh, God. We're talking about High Elves now. Yeah, non-AP archers don't do much against Scourge Runners. That's very, very true, for sure. I wonder if we'll see him, though. Dob plays. That's a very accurate assessment. Hulkmar the Grim. Yeah, I agree. I think Volkmar's really good. He can help the Empire, sustain and win in the front line. Plus, he's also not bad in those, blob fights. All right, so Imperator says, let's roll. Ready he is. So I'm going to go ahead and ready up. They can ready up whenever they're good. Faust, of course, making the final tweaks to his army. Start when ready. Let's rock it and shock it, says Faust. That's great. Now, it's always hard to root against Sons of Sigmar, for sure. Empire is my tabletop army in fantasy. I have an Empire army with Karl Franz, Volkmar the Grim. I have a wizard. I have a Death Wizard, and what else? I think I have a Bright Wizard. Ton of swordsmen, state troops, 30 handgunners, Empire Knights, all kinds of cool stuff. So it's always hard for me to root against the Empire. But, Dark Elves are fun. They're a very powerful faction. I think I prefer to watch Dark Elves compared to, Wood Elves. Definitely prefer their more kind of aggressive infantry style that they can bring to the table. All right, so here we are. Castle Drakenhof is the first map, and again, we'll see what the Dark Elves bring. We do have a couple Scourge Runner Chariots. I feel like they're just too powerful not to bring. So let's go ahead and take a look at this force and make sure I didn't accidentally leave a screen blocker up. I'm just going to minimize for a second. And here we go. So on the front line, as expected, a lot of high-level Dark Elf players typically just, bring chaff in the front line. Occasionally there are matchups in which you want to bring like Witch Elves for Rampage and things like that. But Bleak Swords, Dreadspears across the front line. We do, of course, have Big Papa Malekith on his dragon. Very, very scary lord here. He can, pretty much duel with the best of them, and he does also have Soul Stealer, which is a very powerful ability, and of course having Breath Attacks is invaluable in this game. So, a pretty big skirmish course. Lanesh's Harvesters, Dark Riders, a couple groups of Coldwind Knights do fight Demis and Empire Knights and Reiksguard, all that good stuff. repeater crossbows, and a couple Scourge Runners to help deal with heavy Empire threats. So really powerful, honestly. He has answers for pretty much everything. Repeater crossbows and Scourge Runners can deal with big threats. Cold Knights can deal with the cav play. As far as like, his one weakness may be dealing with infantry, but against Empire, you don't really need to worry about that too much. Like Malekith with a good Gaze of Malice or Soul Stealer, and of course Scourge Runners in melee mode can deal with them. Very good army for sure. Now for Faust, we have Knights of the Blazing Sun. We have swordsmen across the front line with some great swords mixed in, actually, which is quite cool. A warrior priest with the Soulfire Bombardment and all the buffs. So I would imagine he's going to be riding with the cav units to try and get some value there. A couple of groups of standard archers, which is nice. Like, they're cheap. If they get compromised, who cares? They have the more range, I think, than repeater crossbows, or at least similar. 120 on those archers and 115. So they can actually outrange those guys and provide some counter-skirmishing tools. Oh my god, a Hellblaster volley gun. Yes, this is glorious. And up in the sky, we have Boris Todbringer on... that's interesting. We've been seeing Toddy. I've seen this a couple times. Toddy is actually up on just basically a Pegasus, which is interesting. But we'll see how that goes for him. He's got silver bullets here, great swords, and some spearmen. And yeah, relatively speaking, a defensive formation. Now, he does have the advantage of having the ranged. He does have a Hellblaster volley gun, so Imperator will have to come in and fight, essentially. But, he should be able to overwhelm these lines. And the Cav core for the Empire is certainly a little bit outmatched, with 2 Cold Knights plus Slaanesh Harvesters. So he's going to have some really good buffering with the Warrior Priest, good supporting magic. And for his caster, he does also have an Amethyst Wizard with Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna. Buna, of course, can be used against like Harvesters, or Spirit Leech can be used on them. It just depends on the circumstances, really. And we have a Hellblaster volley gun back here. Some delicious tea. Who do you guys want to win? Let's hear it in chat. You guys here for the Sons of Sigmar or Imperator and his Dark Elves? Very, very fierce battle this shall be. Imperator on an absolute tear today, taking down 3 very, very high-level tournament players on his way in. And of course, he has won himself, but very, very impressive 2-0 victories. Hasn't dropped a single game today. Faust has had some great series as well, and we'll see if he's able to take on the Wrath of the Druchii. So start anytime. No need to wait for me. And of course, during all this, the bottom side of the bracket is being decided. So Zablaski awaits his opponent, and yeah, that would be. We might see a lot of elves today, I have a feeling. There's going to be some elvish folk here in these tournaments. So here comes the Dark Elves. A lot of their army is on the far side of the battlefield, away from the Hellblaster volley gun. That means they can come through the tree line here, mitigate some of the approaching fire. However, the Hellblaster volley gun has pretty short range, as is. As a matter of fact, its range probably is like right up to the tree line. So approaching through the trees isn't going to be as much of a boon as it normally would be against, let's say, a Hammer of the Witches type unit. Now, Toddy up here on the steed, you know what he's probably pretty good for when he's on his little steed here is probably sniping out casters. Granted, Malekith is the caster, which is a bit of a problem. Toddy would be heavily outdueled by freaking Malekith on a Black Dragon here. So Hellblaster volley gun's going to be lining up. Looks like Malekith might be coming out to juke some shots and try and waste some ammunition, but I think he's just kind of poking out. In the meantime, Imperator is advancing his army, so you can see they're just going at a slow pace here, which is smart, kind of conserving energy. Toddy, of course, is going to be flying ahead as well, and the Empire is kind of repositioning a little bit to get ready for this particular engagement. So Hellblaster volley gun certainly is going to have some teeth on these advancing troops, but I would imagine what will probably happen is Imperator will send up most of his force, like his Dread Spears and Bleak Swords, engage, and at that point he'll then pull forward his cav. But if he's too slow on pulling forward the cav, if he takes a little bit too long in that respect, the Knights of the Blazing Sun will then potentially get some free charges on like the Dread Spears and the Bleak Swords and those other troops there. You can see the Dark Elf Cav going to be screaming around the flank, I would imagine coming up and under here. And they do have some line of sight blocking. Like you can see here, this isn't a perfectly level map. Like if you really go down to the earth, you could see the Hellblaster would have some obstruction issues, perhaps with this like slope here. It's a little bit hard to tell when you're microing from an overhead perspective, but nonetheless, if Imperator would like to, he certainly can. So the Hellblaster volley gun is moving forward. You can see it's been giving a move order, and it's probably going to be lining up its sights, I would imagine, on those Dark Riders with the repeater crossbows. Scourge Runner is going to be poking out of the tree line. Probably going to be taking some pot shots up here. Toddy, looks like it. They're currently hidden, so they're not shooting. It looks like they may come out of the trees, but no, I guess they're just kind of hiding and waiting for the rest of the force to come up. Now, as far as the Dread Spears and the Bleak Swords and all those guys, it looks like a move order has been given, so the Bleak Swords are going to scoot up. Scourge Runner Chariots are going to be taking some opening shots here against Boris Todbringer up in the sky. And Toddy does have regeneration, but still, I mean, getting a character closer to its healing cap, especially in a long, grindy battle, is very, very important. So, shots coming down. A couple rip into Toddy right there. A direct hit right on the flank. Going to kind of force him back. Scourge Runner Chariot's just such a good unit. Probably one of, honestly, the better units in the game, just from what they can do. Dealing with large monsters, single entities, they can deal with infantry. They just bring so much value to the battlefield. So now the Dark Elves getting in position. You can see the cav units coming here on the flank. Very much a game of cat and mouse initially. Both players jockeying for the better position. the Empire has some nice natural denial as well. And if the Empire did take the battle like up here, they could use this natural terrain piece to kind of block us around. Toddy's going to be doing his thing. Hellblaster Volley Gun, it looks like it's getting ready to shoot. It might want to scoot up and start taking pot shots at the Cold One Knights. I'm not quite sure about the range. Oh no, that's going to be rough. Chillwind right there. Okay, I thought it was a worse Vortex, but it was just Chillwind, but that was still quite good. And then Imperator follows up using a Gaze of Malice. Toddy looks like he goes in for a fight. The Gaze of Malice didn't do that much, but that's still a nice pick. I mean, doing that kind of HP damage to a very good unit like the Sigmar Sons, certainly can't complain. So Hellblaster Volley Gun is now moving. Looks like it's going to be going up and getting ready to shoot here. The Sons of Sigmar did take a little bit of poke from Malekith, who I'd imagine is now going to let his Winds of Magic kind of recover from that channeling which he just performed here. Hellblaster Volley Gun, man, the range on these things is so short. I would imagine he's going to shoot at the Scourge Runners. It's hard to say. You got to be careful with these like short artillery pieces, because if you give an attack order of something that's like too far away, here comes another one. Man, his chill winds are really, really good. Like just taking value where he can. In the meantime, the rest of his force is advancing. Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, all that stuff kind of popping up here. Here comes the Hellblaster Volley Gun. And it looks like, yeah, you can see now Faust is having to move this thing back. It's such an awkward piece here. Now, you can see here, oh no, the ambush! So the Knights of the Blazing Sun almost get the jump here, but Imperator is so quick on his reaction. He's able to pull back those Dark Riders before those Empire Heavy Cav can get the jump. Because he kind of like left an opening, like obviously wanting to get an ambush there, because that looked like a juicy opening to just ride your cav in. Hellblaster Volley Gun is now shooting, so it's been turned around. It's going to start firing probably at the Scourge Runners. We'll see though. It looks like the archers are going to just be shooting whatever they can in the front line, not really being terribly picky. And now we got to prepare for a big cav fight. So Hellblaster Volley Gun getting some nice ripping shots here. Ooh, nice damage. Really doing a bunch of work against the Scourge Runners. Looks like another Chillwind coming down. Man, you know, that's something you don't see terribly often is Chillwind. Oh no, Faust left his caster in the open, and Big Papa Malekith coming in to lay a whooping on him. And Malekith hits like an absolute brick house. And he's able to really take down that Amethyst Wizard pretty hard, but it looks like the Wizard might stabilize, just barely, but very disastrous situation. However, now Malekith is being shot by silver bullets, and Toddy's able to get some punch as well. Scourge Runners are taking some heavy damage, but they're also up and in the melee engagement, so very, very scary on all sides. Here, the Dark Riders do come around the back, and it looks like they get ambushed by the Knights of the Blazing Sun, so Knights of the Blazing Sun are able to really wreck these Dark Riders on the flank, so good pick here from the Empire, and it looks like there is going to be a Fate of Una going down, which is smart. Might as well use all your Winds of Magic before Malekith kind of jumps on you here. The Empire Cav aren't in engagement here, but the Warrior Priest has given some really nice buffs. But a Soul Stealer has responded here on top of these guys. But oh, the Grand Soul Fire Bombardment doing a ton of damage here against these Cold One Knights. However, the Knights of the Blazing Sun are pushed off by a Word of Pain as well as the pressure from Malekith. Now, as far as the battle goes, relatively even. Some nice picks here. You can see the Scourge Hunter Chariots have been pushed off. The Silver Bullets here in the back line are stable. Hellblaster Volley Gun, unfortunately for the Empire, is temporarily shut down, but could come back online with a good countercharge here from the Knights of the Blazing Sun. But here on the flank, it looks like Malekith is kind of having a field day. The Warrior Priest gets absolutely shreked by Malekith. Knights of the Blazing Sun get pushed off, but the Dark Elf Cav are also quite low. But the problem is like Toddy, I don't know what kind of a difference Toddy's going to be able to make. Knights of the Blazing Sun actually going after Malekith, but he is able to get back up in the sky, or is he not? Looks like he isn't. So the Knights of the Blazing Sun get a great countercharge here on these Golden Knights. Repeater Crossbows, unfortunately, are shooting into Toddy, doing quite a bit of work. Bounce of Power is still even here. Silver Bullets trying to find a position from which they can shoot. Warrior Priest is back, as well as his Deathcaster. Look at this. Some of the Golden Knights here actually rampage and, get killed by the spears. So they rampage to their own doom there. Toddy's in okay shape. Looks like Repeater Crossbows were not actually shooting Toddy. Rather, they were shooting the Knights of the Blazing Sun. We have some pretty good supporting fire coming in here from Silver Bullets, but I would imagine it's only a matter of time before another Soul Stealer. Ooh, nasty breath attack right there from Malekith, able to do a ton of work against those Spearmen. But the Great Swords of the Empire fighting pretty well. Warrior Priest is here, Toddy's here. But what's going to happen now is the Dark Elves are going to attempt to snipe the characters, which is smart. The Amethyst Wizard, oh my god, he just got deleted by Malekith. Absolute destruction, but the Warrior Priest is coming in. Silver Bullets have lined up their sights, and now they're going to be unleashing a torrent of fire into Malekith, who is probably going to respond with a big old fat Soul Stealer, just like we expected here. And this is actually a pretty close battle, guys. If the Silver Bullets and Todbringer are able to beat up Malekith and push him back, you can see the Empire has a lot of guys rallying. As a matter of fact, these archers could do some serious hurt as well, just kind of volume of fire stuff. Hellblaster Volley Gun crew is back online as well. We have a ton of Spearmen that are going to be probably trying to screen out these Repeater Crossbows, I would imagine. But yeah, it's looking a little bit dicey for the Empire, though. Silver Bullets are falling back, archers ripping shots into Malekith while they can, but these Scourge Hunter Chariots are being pushed into melee combat to shut those guys down. And with the Silver Bullets going down, that's going to be really, really tough, to say the least. Granted, Toddy could be a hero. I mean, if Toddy is able to get some good cycle charges on Malekith, who is a bit of a bigger target, maybe that could reap some benefits here. Knights of the Blazing Sun engaged as well, and it looks like perhaps one more Soul Stealer going down, which is just such punishment. If that is a Soul Stealer, is it Malekith's Soul Stealer, or is it the... Yeah, it is Malekith. So Malekith getting some fat heals right now, which is very, very scary for sure. Scourge Runner Chariot's basically being used to chase down routing units, which is great play here from Imperator. Very, very solid stuff. And you can see that Imperator is actually pulling ahead on the bounce of power for the first time of the game. It's been a very, very close back and forth battle. A couple little engagements here and there, of course, have really dictated the outcome. But you can see the bounce power is now visibly in the favor of the Dark Elves, as those Knights of the Blazing Sun do get pushed back. Silver Bullets are pushed off. Archers are pushed off. Dark Elves have a fair amount of stuff. Malekith is pretty beat up and close to his healing cap. And you can see the Empire here does have a resurgence of infantry, but against Malekith, the Witch King, I don't know. You need your Hellblaster, you need your, your Silver Bullets, like all those different things to really kind of take those guys down. And yeah, Toddy on his little Pegasus is not going to be enough to deal with big old Malekith here, who's quite a big old angry threat. Now, Imperator doing a really good job chasing off a lot of these troops, and that's something that's really a sign of a veteran. Like, whenever there's little things like even 21 Silver Bullets could turn the tide of the game. Hellblaster Volley Gun crew being chased down by the Dark Riders, but the spears from the forest emerge and are able to provide a bit of a screen. Faust certainly has some fight left in him, but I think, that Gaze of Malice is pretty brutal, and I simply don't think he's going to have enough to deal with all the infantry left on the battlefield, and you can see we're getting pretty close to army losses, I would imagine. As Boris Todbringer is going to be running for the hills, going after... takes out the last of those Cold One Knights, does free up the archers there. That was pretty sweet little engagement there by Faust, and very, very good control, but, Imperator's on the hunt. He's coming for blood, guys. And you can see here that Toddy is just not up to fighting the Witch King, which is lore friendly. I mean, Boris Todbringer would probably have no chance against Malekith. And just a bit of a guess there. Malekith is kind of a big central powerhouse character. And that's going to be it. So a couple Sons of Sigmar, I think, fighting on the edge of the map somewhere might be the reason why it's still going. Yeah, they were coming back from a chase. So very, very well played. It was a good game. It was hotly contested. A couple things like the Hellblaster Volley Gun being taken out was really big. The Empire Center Pocket getting caught in a couple big Soul Stealers, which is pretty much like impossible to avoid against a good player. And I really like the Chillwind play from Imperator as well. That was really, really smooth, like being able to just whittle down the state troops. So that's 1-0, and this is best of 3. So let's go ahead and update the scoreboard here and do it to it. Thank you guys so much for joining. We have a donation coming in from Garland Green. He says, just because the amazing streams need rewarding and Lady Turin needs the treats. Thank you so much, Garland, for the tenor. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. And now we jump on to the next battle. So let's see what they pick. We got to pick the next map, which is going to be... Got to make sure I don't pick some ridiculous map. And we'll do the Estalian Tomb. Imperator says this match was sponsored by Kane. Those Scourge Runners are such a pain at the moment. Yes, they are. All right, so we're going to be on Estalian for the next map. Players are going to do their picks and bans, and I will come drink some tea and hang out with chat. Toddy's like, help me. Franz, I'm too weak. I'm too weak. I need help. I think he played really well. I think Faust played a great game, but Imperator was able to get the good engagements and, took the game. It was solid. Yeah, the having a Hammer of the Witches might have been better, perhaps. Just to put some pressure on Malekith early, when he's flying around. So yeah, at least Imperator has to dodge that. I personally think that, Cannon probably would have been better. Like the Hellblaster Volley Gun, the short range, it hits pretty hard, and Faust got some good damage. He was able to put a Scourge Hunter down to 60% and get some other, it at least forces your opponent to go after it, but yeah, it's hard to say. This match is sponsored by that raid meme. Oh my god, I love it. It's so good. Faust saying, sweet, nice map. Go for it, man. Estalian Tomb is a great map. I agree. It's one of my favorites in the game, actually. So now we're doing our picks and bans. So Imperator is going to go Lizardmen. And let's see what he picks and bans. And he bans Skaven and Dwarves. Good choice. Dwarves have a good matchup there, I think. I think Longbeards are very good against Saurus, and their monsters take a lot of pounding from the Thunderers as well. Skaven, of course, have some really good anti-AP options as well. So, although I think Skaven versus Lizardmen is a relatively even matchup, but that's just my anecdotal experience. But, again, everyone has their preferences. So Faust gets the pick now. Skaven and Dwarves have been banned. I think Faust likes to play Empire and, other kind of factions like that. Maybe we'll see a Vampire Coast pick. I think that could be pretty good. Vampire Coast has some serious teeth in this matchup. Granted, I still think it's even. I don't think Lizardmen have too many hard counters. I don't feel as if they have a matchup that's just oh god, this is going to suck. Lizardmen have a pretty dynamic roster and can usually go fisticuffs with any faction, in my opinion. So Faust again, got to pick some open field options, but also some terrain here. Garrett Ratchford, thank you for the $5. He says, love the streams. How would you swing a Dwarf Vanguard army? So Garrett, in order to answer your question, I need to know which matchup you're talking about, because it's very, very situational. But I guess if you're just going to say in general, Garrett, I would probably recommend, like, if you're going to Vanguard missile pieces and things like that, if you want to get Norgimling's Ironbreakers because they have Vanguard, you'll probably, depending on the matchup, you want to get, like, you know, Bugman's Rangers or Standard Rangers with Miners Vanguarded to protect them. Now, the Dwarven Vanguard is probably only decent in a couple matchups, maybe against, like Vampire Coast or something like that, but even still, it's generally pretty suboptimal in my experience. So, Faust is deciding on his faction still. We'll see what he works on here. But if you let me know a matchup, I can help you a little bit. Yeah, Tomb Kings have a pretty good matchup against Lizards. I think so. But I think that Lizards can do well. I've seen them in a lot of my tournaments actually fight and defeat Tomb Kings. But Tomb Kings do have some really good tools. Ushapti Great Bows are insanely powerful. You know, and obviously some of the Tomb Kings constructs can really pack some punch. What is top tier magic and low tier magic in multiplayer? As a matter of fact, I have a list, Sebastian. I believe I have a video of the best lores of magic. Some of the better ones, though, are Lore of Life. Lore of Death is really good. Lore of Shadows is incredibly powerful. Lore of Plague is really good. Those would probably be like some of my top 4 or 5, if I just had to say so. High Magic is okay. Tempest and Apotheosis, more situational. Faust says, I'll do it for the people. And, okay, so what is he doing for the people? He's going Bretonia, says Imperator. Oh my god, Faust coming in with Bretonia. So, man, okay, so Bretonia is already countered by Lizards, in my opinion. And he's going to go in with Bretonia. Oh my god. He'll probably go with Gotrek and Felix. I feel like you have to bring at least Gotrek to help deal with the dinos. He is going Bretonia. And Imperator says, may the lady bless you. Oh my god, a wild Bretonian pick here in the finals of today's ECL. That's absolute insanity. Okay, so Garrett, if you want to do a Vanguard Dwarf build against High Elves, you're probably going to have to bring... Like, you could honestly, if you're vanguarding against High Elves, Garrett, with Dwarves, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you do it, you could have a cannon or two, like, left back, and then you could have a couple, and have some, like, Slayers defending it, and then the rest of your army could be, like, a Norgimling's Ironbreaker Vanguard with, like, some Miners with blasting charges to help deal with Spearmen, and basically they're just, like, a massive Vanguarded tar pit, which your cannons then tear apart the cav units and things like that. Yeah, he totally counterpicked himself. Yeah. I mean, you can spam arrows for sure, volume of fire, but Lizards can usually endure that with Shield of the Old Ones and, you know, just all the durability they have. It's really, like, hard. You can go with Royal Hippogriff Knights and also bring Alberic to give them bonus for large. So suddenly you have, like, these massive anti-large AP monsters that fly around. And plus they're pretty good against infantry. Obviously, it's hard. Yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, I think, I don't know. I think it's a really tough matchup, but we'll see. We'll see if he can make it work. The real people champion, I know. Everybody loves Bretonia. Gotrek plus Green Knight could work, Guac. I think, you know, has some steam. Imperator might win, but Faust is the hero of the people. Faust has earned the lady's favor. Yeah, I mean, they can do it. It's not like, it's not impossible. It's just difficult. It is just difficult. So on the bottom side of the bracket, we have the next players who are going to be playing. It's going to be Zablaski facing off against Ulrich Rahl. So, of course, we saw Zablaski in the faction war. He represented the High Elves, had a very good game against Soothsayer. We've, of course, seen Zablaski in many of our tournaments, always in the top end of the bracket, doing very well. And Ulrich Rahl, of course, was our champion of Norske. In the Faction Wars tournament, was able to defeat the Dwarves in the first round and went on to have some really good games later in the Faction War. So very, very solid players are going to be on the bottom side of the bracket, ready to face the winner of this particular series. So I really want to look at their armies, but I'm going to restrain myself. I am going to be patient, and we'll see how it goes. Faust going to lead the peasants to their doom. Well, I mean, it's hard. Yeah, I mean, peasants are always basically going to beat their doom. Somebody has to get run over by the dinos. This is the semifinals, Aetherian. It's 2 best-of-3s and a best-of-5 final. Heavens is an incredibly good lore of magic. I agree with Dov. Very, very much so on that. I think Heavens is good in so many different matchups. I mean, Lizardmen, of course, having healing with single entities is nice, but having, I mean, you know, Harmonic Convergence, Harmonic Convergence, Curse of the Midnight Wind, you know, Wind Blast is insanely good. Zablaski is up next, yes. And of course, guys, while we're waiting here, let's take a look at the previous qualifier. So, of course, the winner of today's tournament will be qualifying for the ECL Season 4 Grand Finals. They'll be joining this company listed here of A-Move Hacker, Felcon, Flying Taco, and Talaxland Soothsayer. So some very, very serious competition, to say the least. We'll see how it goes for the lads. Ready. The lady wills it. Let's have a blast. It's all part of the great plan, says Imperator. Well, they each have their own philosophies in life, and we'll see which one prevails here. Does the lady will victory, or is the will of the old ones going to be too much for the Bretonians to handle? You know what would be interesting too, to see like some wild trebuchet picks, like a very just like outside the box build, like two trebuchets, like Hippogriff Knights running around with like Alberic and like just all cav, right? Like no infantry. That would be a really cool build to see. It could have some teeth. Dealing with the single entities is tough, but I think Gotrek is really helpful for sure. You could bring like Gotrek and like, you know, Alberic and some Hippo Knights and you should have enough. I'm actually quite curious to see how this goes. I am quite curious indeed. Oh, the Dread Saurian! Not to be outdone, Imperator comes in with the dreaded Dread Saurian. I love it. Oh my god. It's actually not a meme in this matchup. It can do some work for sure. So our Lord Mazdamundi's here, which is very good. He has nets to lock down the Bretonnian Knights. He's got healing for the Dread Saurian and the shield. So he has the Sunburst Standard of Hexawaddle, I believe is what it's called, which gives missile resist. So it's very, very good against massive amounts of Bretonnian archers. Cool stuff. So for the front line, it's going to be Red Crested Skinks into the Sunset, so poison and AP. Obviously, they'll do fine against Bretonnian infantry for the most part. A bunch of Cold One Knights to try and contest the Cav game, so Cold One Spear Riders, excuse me. We do have a Bastillodon with the Revivification Crystal. It's always a weird one. And a Feral Dread Saurian as well with a single Chevron. This guy's ready to go. Now for the Forces of Bretonnia, looks like we're going to see the Companions. Now, Bretonnia did get some nice buffs against monsters recently. The Companions of Quinelles here, or Quinelles, however you say that. These guys do have anti-large and armor piercing, so very, very good against big armor if they can get the good engagements. We got a bunch of peasant mobs here and a fair amount of halberds. So the Beast Slayers, on top of that, more halberds. We do also have a Grail piece and men-at-arms with polearms with actually... Okay, look at this. So Faust actually has all of his men-at-arms with polearms with gold chevron. So these guys are rocking 50 melee defense. So it's certainly going to be very powerful against the dinos if they have to. We have Royal Hippogriff Knights. We have a Damsel of Life to heal them up. And up in the sky, we have Alberic with his trident. So just like we expected, Alberic coming in to give bonus first large to the Royal Hippogriff Knights, which I think is very strong. On top of that, you know, he can give these glorious peasant archers a bonus first large. And he's got a trebuchet. Look at this. Okay, so some of my prophetic predictions are correct here, but the trebuchet is quite cool. If there was like Temple Guard, it would actually be very strong. Now, in this case, it's not going to be that great, but it's still something, you know, like you got to deal with it. Go like have fun. It's all part of the great plan. You will see, says Imperator. Ready he is. Should be fun. Alberic, you know, he does some work. I'm a big fan of Alberic, actually. Once he got the Kraken's Bane item, you know, the one that gives bonus first large to nearby characters, like I was a big fan. You know, these peasant mobs, if he's flying over their head, he inspires them and gives them bonus first large. So suddenly these peasants are rocking 18 melee attack with a bonus first large against some of the cav units. Very, very cool stuff indeed. And yeah, let's see what they do. So it looks like the Companions are going to be in a deep vanguard. A little bit risky for sure. Although, you know, the Bretonnians are in such a defensive position here that these knights might be able to get a really optimal engagement. There's also a ton of halberds with the Grail piece here. So the Grail Relique should be able to keep them fighting for quite some time against these monsters. Granted, there's a lot of thickness in this force. Mazdamundi has like 1 million HP. He's got like 7.5, 11,000 here, and you know, 5.7 on this guy. I mean, this is a meaty army to say the least. So again, opposite side, love it. They're both like deploying across from one another. That's what they're both talking about, because like in the matchup before this, they essentially just deployed on like the opposite ends of one another. Now the Companions are probably gonna have to just move and like give up their position, I think, like, because if the main fight is taken over here, granted they could come in for a flank against some of these guys, but I don't know. Is Bretonnia going to be able to hold the onslaught of all these big scary dinos without the Companions here? Now they are moving their peasant archers back. It looks like in total there's only 2 peasant archers, and they're just brought here for the poison mainly, it looks like. Or there's 1 pox arrow and there's 1 regular one. First treb shots coming in, going after the cav units, and hey, look at that! Takes out a couple Coldo Knights, which isn't bad. And yeah, I guess I would probably rather shoot the Coldo Knights compared to just shooting at skinks. The skink infantry will actually probably be pretty effective against the halberds with their poison, but you know, if the Royal Hippogriff Knights, you know, come in for some good cycle charging, they could certainly do some work. I wonder how long Faust is going to leave his Companions back there, because if he forgets about them, it's pretty much just game over. He really, really needs them. They're a 1,500 gold unit. They're no joke. It looks like the Royal Hippos thinking about taking an engagement here. The Lizards don't have any anti-air, so basically the air units, I mean, I guess they're skinks throwing javelins off the side of this Bastillodon here, as well as Mazdamundia, perhaps. I can't remember if he does, but yeah, he does as well. So the peasants getting ready in the front. They're bracing for the impact. Wow, look at that trebuchet value. Really hammering those Cold One Spear Riders. All right, that's pretty damn good, for sure. And a Rev Crystal is going to be going down, as well as an Apotheosis, which is going to be a ton of healing. So these guys are going to get basically juiced back up to full health. And also Apotheosis, like the Vampiric magic, does resurrect dead models, which is very, very strong. So here comes the Dread Saurian. Of course, everyone loves seeing peasant mobs. Just let's see how long they last here. Wow, they're still going. These guys are still going strong against Mazdamundi and a Dread Saurian. Now, you got to be careful. These Royal Hippo Knights going in here, though they will do a bunch of damage, you got to be careful because Mazda, like with all of his AoE buffs and force multipliers, can do some serious work. So basically, the peasant mobs are being collapsed. Come on, Faust, don't forget about your companions. Bring them aboard. And you can see the Coldham Knights just basically shrekking the front line here, and the Hippogriff Knights lurking in the back, maybe looking for an opportunity for a rear charge. Probably going to go after these Coldham Spear Riders here, which isn't a bad idea. Yeah, I think that's a good choice. Granted, it depends if Imperator grabs his Coldham Knights and his Skinks and swarms over here, because if he does, like, this is going to be game blouses. Now you can see that the companions are being given an attack order, which had Faust had them in position to kind of help out in this fight, it would have been a much better play, because now he's trying to retreat, and he's basically just kind of surrounded by all these scary lizards and whatnot. For the rest of the Bretonnian army, halberds have engaged against skinks. Laser lizards are, not laser lizards, but peasants with the bows. I don't know how I thought that was that, but yeah, I mean, that could have been, oh my god, and Mazdamundi with a net. That's really, really painful for sure. So, I mean, that's a pretty disastrous loss there for the forces of Bretonia. I think the lizards got a really good pick there, and he needed his companions if he wanted to take a big fight like that, but here in the back, you can see it looks like a banishment's going to be going down. Oh, that's going to be nasty if it makes contact against the Beast Slayers. It looks like the Beast Slayers are able to avoid that. Companions are now here, but they need to take a more conservative approach. I think they need to fall back and try and pull some of the lizard stuff away from its supporting elements. Nonetheless, halberds are doing surprisingly well. Of course, the Grail is going to keep them fighting for an unnatural amount of time. Here with some peasant mobs are going to be helping saturate, and the companions are having a problem getting those good engagements as the Dread Saurian is basically just on the hunt. Now, if he has some halberds, he can like pull over there to help. That would be really nice. Alberic looks to be coming over here, trying to terror out off some of the skinks. But so far, it seems like the lizards are in absolute control of this game. I don't think that the Bretonians were able to get the good engagements. And it's a matchup that's very hard for Bretonia, so if you want to have a chance, you have to pretty much get the perfect engagements. You have to play very, very tight. And in this case, I think a couple slight mistakes from Faust with his engagement timing, losing a 2,000 gold unit, almost immediately. I think they cost around 2,000 gold. I can't quite remember. Royal Hippos are very, very expensive. But now this isn't bad. I mean, you have the Grail, you have the Beast Slayers, you have Shield of Thorns, giving them physical resist here. And, you have a lot of anti-large fighting against cab units. So if there is a way for Bretonia to get back, this is certainly it. I mean, if Alberic is able to jump in here and do some hurt against Mazda, granted, I probably would have taken Albert to go after the Bastillodon, but I guess he really needs all the meat he can get in the center pocket fight. But the Blessed Trebuchet rocking a whopping hard 14 kills, peasant mobs fighting against skinks on the flanks, and the halberds in the front line. Men-at-Arms are doing quite well. This really isn't going too badly for Bretonian here, for the Bretonians here in this plot fight. Now, just imagine, had the Hippogriff Knights been used a little bit more carefully, if they were here to help out in this fight. Like, that would be huge, right? If they were just swarming on this Dread Saurian. I think, like, a lot of Bretonian players in general kind of rush into those engagements a little bit quick, and sometimes you just have to let your peasants take a beating. So, the Ruination of Cities going down here. It does a little bit of friendly fire. As a matter of fact, a little bit more painful to the lizards than it was to the Bretonians. The companions are pulling back. Looks like they might be trying to go after some spear riders on the flanks. Not really sure here. And Alberic is fighting the dreaded Dread Saurian with his halberds. And this isn't bad. I mean, there's a ton of men-at-arms everywhere with pole arms, and those guys are good against pretty much everything that the lizards have here. And it looks like rather than staying in the main fight, the companions are going to go clean up scraps. So they're going to ride down these red-crested skinks. Probably will break and potentially shadow those guys. And the Grail is keeping these guys fighting, but even despite the Grail, like, a lot of these men-at-arms are starting to get a little bit worn out. Dread Saurian getting some fat heals from the Rev Crystal, which is always nice, and Alberic is losing the duel against the Dread Beast. I mean, the Dread Saurian is quite scary. 750 weapon strength is no joke. That guy is very, very expensive. So Alberic's pulling back. Bounce of Power getting more and more catastrophic for the Bretonians, as Alberic is going to pull back up in the sky, get ready to dive back down, and maybe just go for his final last stand here. I actually like Faust build for sure, but losing those Hippo Knights, which are one of your big answers against the big threats, was too much to bear in my opinion. So here comes Alberic jumping down to fight to the last with his companions. We do of course have the damsel here who's about to be shreked, and you can see the big old dread beast is going to be turning around to fight Alberic. Oh yeah, it's not going to be fun for you, buddy. That thing is... Oh, a couple peasants just get casually bitten in half here by the feral Dread Saurian. Mazdamundi's able to rout off the last of those forces, and it looks like the halberds, despite debuffing elements here of the Grail, are going to be running for the hill. So, he tried so hard, got so far, and in the end it did matter because he won the hearts and minds of the people with these glorious Bretonians, but alas, the Dread Saurian is too much to handle, and you can see Alberic is going to be running back to his coastal city, perhaps to sip on some wine and nurse his wounds in this battle, but that's assuming he even escapes. So well played. Imperator is going to be going on, not dropping a single game in today's qualifier. Just a beautiful run by him. And now he's going to be going on to face the winner of Zablaski and Ulrich Rahl. So very, very well played to him. Let's go ahead and update the scoreboard. Well, we don't really need to do that. We'll just actually do the bracket. And Imperator is going to be advancing on to the grand final to face, and we can update these real quick, Ulrich Rahl. And just got to get the nameplates all set here. Getting the delays here. Added a little bit of a trickiness here. And Zablaski. Cool. So there you have it, guys. Congrats to him. So now we're going to jump back over to the lobby here. GG, well played. It's best of 3. Stand by for finals. Imperator. So Zablaski and make room in lobby. So stand by for the finals, guys. So the next set, it's going to be Ulrich Rahl facing off against Zablaski. So if you two are listening, please join up. I'm going to send you invites right now. And then when they get in the lobby, we should be all good to go. So thank you guys so much for joining today. I'll go ahead and check chat and all that stuff here in just a moment. Just getting the next match all set. Ulrich Rahl. I'm pretty sure he's on my friends list, but he usually goes by different names. So we'll have to see what we can do there. So I'm just going to go ahead and tag them in Discord real quick. Well played to Faust. An awesome performance for sure. Ulrich Rahl and we got Zablaski. We will see how this goes indeed. Welcome. Welcome to the stream, guys. Got some new faces in here. It's a pleasure. Imperator is an absolute beast for sure. He is an absolute beast. That was a GG. But, you know, the Hippogriff Knight play, I think, was what cost him the game. I think that was the deciding factor. Okay, so Joe Leonard donated $5. So Joe Leonard, thank you so much. And he says, how does a unit's charge bonus last? I'm actually not sure exactly how long it lasts, but basically how it works is when the unit charges, for a period of time after its charge, it'll have basically a boost to its combat prowess. But you know what? I'll look into that and I'll be able to answer your question on the next stream. Anonymous donated $60. Hot damn. Thank you so much, man. So thank you, Anonymous. Thank you for plentiful hours of entertainment. Well, thank you for the very generous donation. And I can assure you, I'm not going anywhere, baby. And those glorious, glorious streams shall continue. So Anonymous, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Your name is Anonymous, or else I would thank you personally, but I am... We got to get Ulrich Rahl in this lobby now. Try and find him. I don't know what name he's playing under. Last time he played in my tournament, he was playing under the name of like a Norske warlord or something like that. So let's head back to the lobby. We'll go ahead and update the scorecards. So this again is best of 3. And he's going to be facing off against Ulrich. And let's go ahead and square up that. Get the names and scores all set. And we will get this party started. Great fun indeed. Hey, it's okay, Faust. Yeah, that was your one. That was the mistake that cost you the game for sure. But had for example you gone for that big fight and then had he countercharged you, but then had your companions been in position for another countercharge, you could have potentially won that blob fight for sure. It's a really difficult matchup though. Honestly, I haven't been able to win that one in ages. So props to you, man, for taking that like a champ. All right, so we're just going to get Ulrich all set up here. He sent me his Steam friend code. So obnoxious how that is like a thing. Like there's all these issues with lobbies and all that. Could have sworn he was already on my friends list here. Sorry about the delay, guys. And of course, Steam doesn't make that any better by having all these like silly limitations on how many friends you can have. I guess that's like to prevent bots and things like that, right? Cool. So the invite has been sent. Yeah, it's all good, Faust. But the death of the peasants, I'll reinstate myself, yes. I'll take the Slayer's Oath for the loss of her knights. You are now a dwarf. All right, let's see if he was able to find the lobby. Should have him now. He has the name of a Norske warlord as his name. Hey, it is Zablaski. For today's match here, let's go ahead and do game 1 on Glacial Lake. It's a map you don't see terribly often, but let's give it a try. Glacial Lake first. So picks and bans, go. And of course the man Imperator waits atop his throne of skulls for in the finals to see who he shall be facing here. We shall see indeed. Peasant Mob is the best unit in the game in terms of strength. They're pretty meaty, those guys. They got 18 melee attack. I was really surprised to see that. I didn't remember it being that high, but apparently it is. Apparently it is. Imperator, man, sweeping through the day. Getting a lot of value for sure. And let us go back to the lobby now. So now they're going to do their picks and bans. We are on Glacial Lake, which is a relatively small map. Most of the maps we've had today so far have been pretty big. So we'll do Glacial Lake, and then maybe follow up with Altorfer Outskirts for the next map, I think. Smart pick by Zablaski, knowing he's on a small map. Not going to pick like one of his elf factions. He picks Lizardmen instead. So Lizard's getting some really good representation today. That's kind of been one of the weirdest misconceptions I've seen for a long time. Like in a lot of my videos, people often say lizards are weak. I'm like, no, they're so damn strong. In the hands of the right player. I mean, I'm just not good at them. So that's why they normally lose on my channel, perhaps developing that perception. But yeah, it's crazy stuff. Yeah, you did great, Faust. Don't beat yourself up, man. No need to take the Slayer Oath. I mean, unless you want a cool mohawk. Unless you want. The exact same thing would have happened to me, don't worry. Or most of us. Oh, yeah, as far as the Bretonnian Lizard matchup, I don't know. I feel like it's so hard. Gotrek is really useful, though, for sure. But it's like, the problem is like, you try and deal with their infantry, like Saurus and Skinks, but then, like, while you're, even if you bring, like, Foot Squires or better troops, like, their dinosaurs just, like, instantly rout them. I almost feel like taking, like, a weird kite, like, pull-apart build would be better. I don't know. So he's going Lizards, and he's banning Tomb Kings and Dwarfs. Smart stuff. And now we have a pick. So I would imagine that our boy Ulrich here, he likes to play Vampire Coast and he likes Norske. What? His whole thing is Norske. And he picks Wood Elves? What planet are we on? What is this? Against Zablaski, who's also Wood Elf main. All right. This is weird. His picture is literally a Norscan warlord. And he comes in and picks Wood Elves. Something feels quite off here. Is it him? Is it an imposter? Yeah. Yeah, Paladins, Faust makes a great point. Paladins don't have the best AP value, so they can do okay. For sure. I think, like, you could go with, like, you know, Gotrek plus, I mean, you know what actually is quite good against the Lizards? Not, like, good, but decent, is you go with, if you're playing Bretonnia, you go with the sub-faction, and you bring Henry Le Massif. Although, then you basically lose Lewin, and, yeah. It's a shame that Henry isn't available to the main faction. That would be really helpful against Lizards. Like a huge armor-piercing paladin. Alright. So Zablaski is ready. Picking his army. We have our Norscan warlord. But I have a feeling he's going to play very strange. Like, he's not going to have, like, a missile build. He'll probably come in with, like, you know, trees and stuff like that. A true agent of Tzeentch, says Zero. Yeah, certainly catching us off guard here. Wood Elves against Lizards? Yeah, it's one that Wood Elves have some good tools. You know, the Way Watchers are insanely powerful. Like, you know, it's super micro intensive though. Like super. You got to do a lot of work to win that one. A lot of work, to say the least. Yeah, it's pretty funny. In the beginning of the tournament, we actually had 2 players with the name Duck fighting. Just like out of total, because I shuffled the tournaments random before it starts, and we had a rubber duck of war facing off against Poison Ducky. Yeah, then you don't have Lewin. It's correct. It's like Lewin is so good against armor. Sword of Corone, great AP values, regeneration. Alberic's quite good as well. He has bonus versus large on top of that and gives it to nearby units. So Alberic giving bonus versus large to Hippo Knights can really tear down big monsters very quickly. But again, they're like a little bit flimsy, so you need to make sure that you have some support, or else the bread shall be buttered, to say the least. I remember a ways back I had to play Falcon in a tournament, and I was playing Bretonnia. Because it was a faction-specific tournament, and I had to play Bretonnia into his Lizards, and it was just like, oh god. It was, like, brutal. It was brutal indeed. Glade Guard spam is pretty good, too. I agree, Zero. I think they can do well. I wonder how an all-Wood Elf cab build would work. It's pretty decent. And Flying Taco has a great point as well. He may use the hole in the map to protect his Way Watchers. Very true. You know, you have that natural terrain priest, might as well use it. But the Lizards, you know, have some really good tools for disrupting missile lines as well. Not only can they bring the Sunburst standard, but they also have Banishment, Ruination of Cities, Wind Blast. I mean, there's a ton of good stuff. Wind Blast better against Glade Guard lines, but yeah, it's something, all right. So start anytime. No need to wait. Here we are, guys. Also, fun announcement: we're going to be having another faction war tournament soon-ish, probably in a week or. Maybe, I don't know. It'll be a couple weeks into February, but we're going to have another one. So you guys stay tuned for that. That was like crazy popular. I was surprised. Like, you know, normally ECL streams on the weekends will get like between 1,100 and 1,500 people. And, you know, ECL streams during the week are usually 900 to 1,000. sometimes up to 1,100. But man, the faction war had like 2,300 people. So apparently got to get more of those going. You guys seem to really enjoy that. Now, Zablaski here, probably going to bring some laser lizards, but, you know, that could be what Ulrich Rahl is going for. Perhaps, like, you know, did I change their names on the scores up top? I did, okay. I think Ulrich maybe, like, will expect Zablaski to counter the Archer plan, then just come in with, like, a ridiculous rush build. I mean, maybe a Mel Gibson pick. Oh my god, talk about winning the hearts of the people. If he came in with Mel Gibson, that would be truly a wonder to behold. And it looks like he's still setting up his army here. Give him a little bit more time, obviously. Yeah, Faction Wars is really fun. Am I the only one who's amazed how wholesome the community is? Hey, cheers, man. I appreciate that, Mr. Erlinson. We try. It's you guys. You guys are the ones who create the community. The Faction War was epic, yeah. The Glorious Empire won it all. A dark day for ducks indeed, says Poison Ducky. I like that, dude. I'm going to make every tournament I have, when you guys both join, I'm just going to make you guys fight in the beginning. The Poison Ducky must fight the Rubber Duck. Every time. So time for some smaller maps. Yeah, well, Ulrich Rahl, he likes to play under different names. So his name here is his actual like username that he enters tournaments under and usually goes by is Ulrich Rahl, but he's playing as a Norsken warlord name right now. So players are loading in. I think both of these folks are these fine gentlemen are from Russia. So there shouldn't be too many connection issues aside from maybe perhaps myself, them connecting to me. But yeah, I believe they're both Russian. Not sure where are you from, Imperator? If you're watching, I know ODM I believe is a French clan, so perhaps that neck of the woods. Who knows? Although ODM does have some members I think who are not from France or not French. Yeah, it was a crazy one, Willow. I was really surprised to see that as well. But Dark Elves, you know, are very good, and Hadri is just an insanely good player as well. So, yeah, I know well, it was crazy because in the finals we got the Empire and we got the Beastmen. And I was like, what planet are we on? But it just goes to show that any given Sunday, right? I'm sure everybody, if there were like, you know. But again, when you see someone like Soothsayer and Flying Taco on those factions, it's going to be like, oh, okay, I can see that happening. But in general, it's like if you had to wager, you'd probably be like, okay, Dark Elves, Lizardmen, you know, maybe an elf like Wood Elves or something, but Skaven, you know. All right, so for the forces of Norske, Ulrich Rahl, he's got a Glade Lord with Prey of Anathrema, a couple of groups of Way Watchers, it looks like, 2 in total, and it looks like he does also have some Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts. So a bit of a mixed forces army. Eternal Guard here with Wildwood Rangers as well. So some serious quality as it pertains to his infantry. And yeah, that's pretty much it. His caster is going to be a Shadow Caster, no, Branch Wraith, excuse me. With Earthblood, Pendulum, as well as Melkoths, which is pretty standard stuff. Those are usually the good spells you see. And obviously he has some really nice natural terrain support here. But I don't think that, I don't think an Imperator cares, because he's going to be able to outrange him. He's got the Bastillodon, so the Wood Elves like can camp all they want. Their Glade Guard will get torn to shreds here by the Laser Dino. So I really like the build for sure. Saurus Warriors, Skinks with Javelins in the front line. Double Solar Engine here. We do also have Lord Mastamundi on his toilet seat. And he's got Apotheosis, Nets of Amortalk, as well as Harmonic Convergence. Very good kit. And just in case there's extra sniping, the Legion of Chaqua is always great because not only do they minimize missile damage, but they are also an anti-large unit against Cav, Wild Riders, Dragons, all that sort of spooky stuff that the Wood Elves can bring. Coldland Spear Riders in the back to defend the Laser Dinos, and that's it. So, like, this is a great build. I think both players have a good chance for sure. But the Laser Dinos are a great addition to kind of force the Wood Elves forward. And good luck, have fun. It looks like he is not going to be utilizing the terrain too much. As a matter of fact, he's going to be taking a head-on engagement, but it does keep the Lizards from enveloping this side. And you can see here he has allocated some Dryads to kind of defend that pass there. But Laser Dinos are going to be the thing that just sends a message here. You know, it looks like Zablaski is going to be sending up his forces to screen here. And the Laser Dinos, I mean, Zablaski is a Wood Elf main. So if anyone knows how to fight against Wood Elves, it's going to be Zablaski, to say the least. So Zablaski is going to be sending some Skinks over here. In the meantime, Ulrich Rahl is going to be scooting up. And the Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts, if they can get in range of the Laser Dinos, they can put some hurt. But the Laser Dinos are already in range. And the first shots are coming in. He takes 2 pot shots, 2 for 2 on that Glade Lord. Nice pounding right there. Really getting some serious damage, to say the least. And now the Way Watchers have been discovered. So now at this point, Zablaski knows that all the Way Watchers are over here. And it looks like he might just go for a Blitzkrieg. He might just take his Cold One Spear Riders and just go over there and try and run them over. But even still, there's spears over there. Dryad's a little bit dangerous. So here we do have the Laser Dinos going to be shooting in against these Starfire Shafts, which is a decent choice. Obviously, taking out Way Watchers and Starfire Shafts are all pretty important high priority targets. And it looks like Starfire Shafts just going to be unleashing their torrents of fire here into the Saurus, which honestly isn't a bad idea. If you beat up these Saurus enough, your infantry will actually win some of those fights. Eternal Guard are engaging against Skinks, and it looks like the elite troops, the Wildwood Rangers, probably going to be getting ready to take an engagement here against the Saurus on the far side, and we'll see how that goes. Ooh, net of Amnitok going down here on the Glade Lord. So here in the middle, the Glade Lord is caught in a net, getting a taste of its own medicine, as it is going to be taking some focus fire from the laser dinos, who are not the most accurate of guys, but they try their little hearts out. Bless their lizard souls there. So they're able to shoot up, but it looks like the Glade Lord is going to be able to move before... he might as well not move. It seems like they have trouble, hitting a stationary target. So the Lizard Cav are pulling back around the main formation. It looks like Ulrich is going to kind of forsake this engagement here on the flank and is going to be pulling around to the flank. Really nice breath attack there by Ulrich. He is able to hammer down on those Saurus, so beautiful cast. Good ruination of cities as well. Able to hit some Dryads and these other troops here. And it also looks like a banishment is going to be coming down from the Toadmaster. And this could be pretty good, but oh, which way is it going? It looks like it might go into these ones, but for the most part, the banishment is a bit of a whiff. And Prey of Anathrema has been popped here on Zablaski's Toad. Granted, the Way Watchers are a little bit out of range, and the Legion of Chaqua is nearby. Beautiful reaction by Zablaski. He uses the Shield of Chaqua and the Shield of the Old Ones to mitigate that missile damage. Outstanding play. Now, Coldlow Knights here are going to be taking a flank engagement, perhaps maybe trying to overwhelm the Wildwood Rangers, who are very, very squishy themselves. Currently, they're rocking a rock-hard 12 melee defense, but that was because of the rolling winds from the Heavens passive, but it looks like he's just going to kind of hang tight here. Nice shot there, Laser Dino poking in there, but so far the Wood Elves are stable. I mean, both players are playing a very, very tight game. Balance of power is currently, yeah, I would say in the favor of the Wood Elves. The Lizards haven't been able to do too much against the front line, and they still have some very elite units to work with. Basically, all these Coldland Spear Riders haven't really generated much value this game, and also, they're still Way Watchers with a lot of ammo left in the back. So we're going to see if Zablaski can make a difference here with his Coldland Spear Riders, because if he can't, the Wood Elves are going to continue to probably pull ahead in this matchup, but very, very close indeed. And also something else that you don't hear terribly often is the front line for the Wood Elves is going quite well. The Saurus Warriors and the Skinks are kind of being pushed back, and here comes the Coldland Spear Riders, doing a big circuitous route against these Wildwood Rangers. Here they go, charging in. Now, if they stay in sustained combat, Wildwood Rangers will actually defeat them. On top of that, there's a dragon nearby, so the dragon is going to be landing in here, doing some good hurt on these troops for sure. Coldland Spear Riders now have an opening into the back line, and if Zablaski is able to compromise the Way Watchers back here, that will probably be a way for him back into this game. Granted, the firepower from the Glade Guard, man, that is brutal. All three Glade Guard turn around, they start hammering down these Spear Riders, and it looks like a big fat breath attack is going to be going in, but it is a swing and a miss, despite the slowing effect from the Melkoth's mystifying miasma. Now, Laser Dino's in the back still shooting. It looks like Mazdamundi's getting into combat with his Legion of Chaqua. He pretty much has to at this point. And the Spear Riders are able to get some decent engagements. They get a good charge into the Way Watchers here, but the other one does get, oh, nice Prey right there. So Prey of Anathrema going down. Harmonic Convergence also popped on these guys, but unfortunately, a little bit of blue balling as they're not going to be able to engage. And it seems like Ulrich Rahl, taking the Wood Elves to Zablaski and doing some good work here. The Spear Riders just really didn't have any targets based on the composition. The Wildwood Rangers, the Dryads, the troop quality for the Wood Elves, I think, was the big factor. Because normally, the Lizards will win the front line while also putting on pressure with the Bastillodons, but the fact that Ulrich was able to win the front line, pretty powerful stuff, to say the least. So here, of course, we do have Mazdamundi continuing to fight. You can see he's trying his heart out here, but the Wildwood Rangers, of course, are going to be able to envelop him. Ruination of Cities does some okay damage, and the Legion of Chaqua is still going strong, but at this point, I feel like it's probably going to be a Wood Elf victory as the Balance of Power is slipping. The Bastillodons are running out of ammo. There's plenty of anti-large, plenty of ammunition left here. You can see these Way Watchers have a pretty healthy amount. Should be able to finish off these Riders in the back before they can get in and do too much. And also, there's still a big angry dragon. So the Glade Lord here can probably go in and feast on the soul of Mazdamundi pretty easily. And I would imagine Ulrich is probably going to do this in a second. Mazdamundi here in some serious trouble, wavering as the Saurus Warriors retreat from the Wildwood Rangers and the Forest Warriors here. Mazdamundi is probably going to teleport off his toilet seat and go back to his palanquin throne back in Hexwaddle here in a moment. 992, 1000. He's getting some nice healing, but that is probably going to be army losses as Ulrich Rahl comes in and wins game 1. But the Wood Elves, wild stuff, and apparently he had a build for this, to say the least. His build was quite good. I liked it. Had some good sustainable pressure, good infantry quality. It was not contesting the mobile game at all, and I think that was a big variable. I think that, had he brought Wild Riders, for example, or mobile units, Zablaski's army would have been much more effective, but the fact that he overloaded so heavily on the infantry and archers and brought nothing for those Coldland Knights to fight was very, very strong, for sure. Now, still a little bit of a scrap going on, but, if the dragon simply flies back here and finishes off the Toad, it's probably going to trigger army losses. In the back line, you can see the Branch Wraith and company basically just, cleaning up the last of these Saurus, and the dragon probably going to come in here and tear out these guys off, which it should trigger army losses in a second. You can see the big old dragon attack. There he goes, quite happy with his cool antlers. The antlers on the dragon, it's such a cool looking thing for sure. Archer ammunition is a little bit low. Perhaps that's why the game hasn't ended yet. Here we have the Bastillodons rampaging in combat, the Legion of Chaqua holding firm, and Mazda Muddy's still rolling dirty. I mean, this would probably be one of the most epic comebacks ever. If somehow Zablaski pulled this one back, I just simply don't think it's possible. The dragon is going to be too much. And Ulrich needs to get the dragon and just finish off the toad. Because, like, the toad is still generating value. He's casting Apotheosis, he's healing here, he's providing a lot to the battlefield. And you can see that the Glade Guard are being sent into combat like everybody is. And, yeah, I don't know. The dragon's got to get back here. I still don't think there's a chance, really, but that would be something. There's a Branch Wraith here. We obviously have, a ton of Dryads. I mean, there's a full health group of Spears back here, which would be very efficient against these Bastillodons. And the dragon's getting in there, and now you can see Army Losses coming in. There was a dream of Rome. And you can see that the Lizards are going to take game one. Ulrich Rahl going 1-up, 1-0 in this best of 3. So obviously he needs to win the next game to advance to the finals. But Zablaski, obviously, we haven't seen him on his Elves yet. So very excited to see that. I would imagine he's going to pick Wood Elves next game and just go in there. Perhaps High Elves. He likes his birds as well. So very well played. Very well played indeed. So Ulrich Rahl up 1-0 here as we move on to the next match. And here we go. GG well played being dropped by both players. And now we're going to go on to a map that's a little bit more kind of tricksy. We'll do the Altorfer Outskirts. Outskirts, go. Did I say Outskirts? No, that's funny. Outskirts. Here we go. He's going to waddle back to Hexwaddle. He can just teleport. He can simply use his magic plot armor and just teleport back to Hexwaddle. Yeah, that was a weird Wood Elf build, but it worked, you know? It was pretty awesome. Hang on a sec, guys. All right, guys, we're doing it to it. Life is good. And we are in business. All right, so one sec, guys. Perfect. Yeah, the Riders really didn't have a home, though. It was kind of a tricky thing. Like, based on the build that Ulrich brought, like, there wasn't targets for the Wild Riders. Yeah, I mean, that was really... And the breath attacks are really good, too. He basically killed 2 groups of Saurus. Yeah. Well, it's pretty cool to see different Wood Elf builds, you know? He's going to Hexawaddle back to Hexawaddle. Yeah, probably so. All right, so Ulrich is now on his main faction. He is going to go Norske, and he's banning Jawi and Dark Elves. Okay, so he did not ban Zablaski's Wood Elves. Wood Elves have some pretty good teeth here. Dryads can do well in combat. Wild Riders are pretty effective. The Wild Hunters of Kurnus are good against Skinwolves. Obviously, sniping potential. So Zablaski probably will go to an Elf faction, I would imagine. Dark Elves are banned, so he's looking up some builds here real quick. He's going through his own builds, trying to decide what he wants to do. But yeah, Dwarves and Dark Elves are banned. So perhaps we'll see... Oh, maybe Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings here have some really powerful tools. And Tomb Kings are just a top-tier faction in general. So I think Tomb Kings would be a really good choice. For sure. Yeah. In campaign, as Lizards, I've had a Dreadsaurian completely juiced up on tech and army buffs. Still gets melted by Garrison Archers. Yeah. Yeah, no, Dreadsaurians are a really risky pick against these Elf factions. I would feel very confident in saying. It did work out, Ward Monksy. It did indeed. It did indeed. You have Zablaski looking at his High Elves. He's shopping through his builds, trying to decide how best to take on Ulrich Rahl. Pretty good stuff for Ulrich, for sure, getting that Game 1 victory. Now he's able to try and close out the series on his best faction, which is quite nice for him. Whenever you can get an early win with one of your sub-factions. Although, I don't know, maybe he's better at Wood Elves than Norske, but he seems to be Norsken main from talking to him and seeing him play. One sec, looking at builds. Altorfer Outskirts has plenty of places to hide your elf people if you're looking for ambushes and things like that. I'm pretty hungry right now, actually. Yeah, I'm looking forward to feasting after the stream. People seem to almost always bring Wild Riders. Yeah, for sure. They're a very common pick. I would love some sausages and eggs as well. We have some really good breakfast diners in LA. California has such amazing food. It's so damn good. Like anything you want, you can find. The feast is always there. All right, so Zablaski is going to go Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings is his final pick here. Final answer for $1 million. we'll see how he does against the Norskins. Now, I mean, yeah, there's so many ways you can play this. You can go with great bows. You can go with great bows and halberds. You can go with, you know, Tomb Scorpions. You can go with Camarine War Sphinxes. Like, there's so many ways Tomb Kings can play this. So many different ways. So, again, we'll see what they decide to do. So you missed a couple games. This is the second semifinal. Norske versus Dawi. Norske, he actually banned dwarves. Because in competitive tournament play, which this is, generally there's a pick and ban system. So he decided to ban Dark Elves and Dwarves. How would High Elves fight Dark Elves? They have some good tools. I mean, Sisters of Avalorn can be pretty good against like Scourge Runners, things like that. They have nets. Dragon Princes can be decent as well. I mean, there's a multitude of ways to play it. It's probably Dark Elf favored, that matchup, but High Elves can win it. They can win it for sure. Those damn Scourge Runner chariots are just so obnoxious. These things are so tough to deal with. Dark Elf bans are most certainly warranted. I feel pretty confident against Dark Elves using Vampire Ghost because the Colossus and some of the cannons can really shut down the chariots, but... Oh man, Horus Heresy had a porterhouse steak for dinner. Sounds good. So Zablaski making his picks. I wonder what he'll play. Probably Ark in the Black is what we're going to see. Ark in the Black is a very, very powerful lord choice. That guy does not mess about. And of course, the winner of today's qualifier will be qualifying for the grand finals, joining some serious competition for the Big Papa tournament, which will be the end of this season. So it'll probably be like end of February we'll probably aim for, because I'm going to probably have a couple weeks here where we will have a couple of ECLs. Going to the camera store tonight to look at lighting equipment for 40k tabletop battles and stuff. You're here for a Dawi win. Well, perhaps we'll see dwarves. I don't know if any of these guys play dwarves. Maybe Ulrich does. Maybe Ulrich does. Ulrich's army is probably ready, as a matter of fact. He's been sitting on Norske for a while. Zablaski probably has like several builds he's trying to like kind of theorycraft through. Who knows? Who knows what treachery is afoot? Pretty sure Tomb Kings have the advantage here unless they draft super wrong. So Snoopy, I would say that Tomb Kings are probably objectively a little bit stronger than Norske, like overall. But as far as this matchup goes, I mean, Norske has some really good tools as well. I would say, like, if it is favored for Tomb Kings, maybe like ever so slightly, you know, but not like Norske has a great chance here. Like, it's not like Bretonia versus you know, Lizardman like we saw earlier. So Zablaski is ready. Ready up. And we'll see if he can pull this series back and take us to a rubber match, which would be quite a bit of fun. Where did my chips go? I had some like yummy chips I was getting ready to feast on. I shall ready up, and it is just about go time. The man, the myth, the legend, Zyphos in here. He says, go Zablaski for Athel Lauren, even though it's heresy, he's playing dead things. I know. Zablaski, I'm surprised we haven't seen his Wood Elves. You know, he's on the ropes here. And if he loses this, he is eliminated from today's qualifier. Granted, he'll still have 3 more attempts to qualify after this with the rest of the qualifiers, but I'm surprised he didn't go with his Elves here. I feel like Wood Elves have some good tools against Norske. Like, Wild Riders are super good against their infantry. You have some really good kite. But Norske is a really good swarming faction, too. Skinwolves can also give it right back. So it's yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. But Tomb Kings are just super powerful in general. So, and I'm sure he's good at them. We have Flying Taco saying it used to be Norskin favored. Now the new Stalkers make it even. Ah, good feedback. Who won the Lizardman versus Bretonia game? That was a Lizardman victory. Mr. Picot, no sleep for you, man. You gotta hang out and watch. Sorry. The tribe has spoken. What time is it? Yeah, where you live, it's probably like what, like 9 o'clock or so? Yeah, I guess if you have to get up early, it's still tricky. But you know, this stream will probably go for another hour, I would imagine, depending on this outcome. And then, of course, we have a best of 5 to close out the stream. Best of 5s can take anywhere from like, you know, 35 to an hour and a half. Yeah, like it's just so wild depending on how close the games are and the maps we pick. We'll basically alternate between smaller maps and bigger maps. In this case, we are, of course, on a very, very big map here. So, but to make sure, don't have any screen blockers up or anything like that. And we have another donation coming in from Garland Green. Oh my God, 1 minute ago with a $50 Fat Erect donation. He says, hungry, say no more. Dinner's on me, buddy. Thank you, man. Well, it looks like I was going to cook some dinner at home, some boring pasta tonight for Anna and I, but now perhaps we'll treat ourselves to a burrito, some local food. We'll see what Anna wants. Oh man, thank you so much, Garland. That's very generous, dude. And hopefully your box doesn't get held up in customs for too long. So Lady Turin was making Garland Green a custom box. It's like a werewolf box. It has like a skin wolf on the top, and it has like fangs on it. It's really freaking cool. But I can only imagine the face that like a borders like officer would have, like, because usually they open up those things and expect it. Not always, but sometimes they do. Like looking at that, be like, what is this? All right. So let's take a look at the forces of the Tomb King. So for Zablaski, we have a couple Ushopti. Ushopti, of course, a very good roadblock. Oftentimes the Tomb Kings do struggle in the infantry fight here, so having a couple Ushopti as a roadblock against the Norsken infantry, very good stuff. Nakar Horsemen as well, good battlefield control units and tar pit units. A couple archers as well, so he's got skeleton archers, a whole front line of halberds and spears actually. So very much kind of banking on the anti-large here. Cetra the Imperishable with the sword and all the good spells that Lord of Nehekar has to offer. Foz Protection, Cursed Blades, and is it Foz Protection? It's not Foz Protection. It's Narrow's Incantation of Protection. I always get that one wrong. Yeah, Narrow's. And Wrath of Petra, as well as the Blade of Petra. And that's pretty much it. So basically, it's a very defensive formation. Use the Ushopti and Cetra to grind out and win the infantry fight. Kill the monsters with your bows. And if any flank pressure comes, tar put them with the Nehekar Horsemen and your spears. It seems to be kind of the school of thought here. He does also have a Necrotech to heal up some of the big monsters. Now for the forces of Norske, it looks like it's going to be an aggressive build. He's got Marauders mixed in with Famir with great weapons, who will make very quick work of Ushopti if they can get their paws on them. But again, if the Ushopti are standing on top of the halberds, then it's going to make it very tough for the Famir warriors to get their value. So I like that quite a bit. Berserkers mixed with Marauders, Skinwolves in the tree line. Oh yeah, the Troll King, baby. Ulrich coming in with Throg, as well as a Skinwolf Werekin, who you don't see too much. But these guys, when Norske first came out back in like 2017 or whenever it was, I can't remember. Jesus, I've been doing this a while. These guys were like the scourge of the earth. They were just so nightmarish. They were pretty OP. So they got nerfed quite a bit since then. And a Firecaster as well. Firecaster is a staple, especially against expensive Tomb King infantry like halberds. You basically just get one or two good burning skulls down the flanks and you'll crush their front line. Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes for additional AP against Cetra and Constructs, and that is pretty much it. Good army, well-rounded, has tools against everything, but both players do. It's really going to come down to their play, their game decisions, their spell casting, all that sort of fun stuff. So Tomb Kings obviously kind of know the direction here, so this is a good play here. Basically, you just want to kind of square up your formation and get ready to face them head on. Plenty of tree lines here and whatnot. If the Norskins want to advance through the trees, they're not going to take too much damage until they're pretty much right in the face here of the Tomb Kings, which is nice. No Ushopti Great Bows. I was kind of expecting maybe to see one. Skeleton Archers, of course, can do well, and they're very, very cheap, especially with the Blessed Legion of Demonetization here. Those guys can put some serious hurt on pretty much any target they want. But basically, the Tomb Kings are just having a big old squared up front line, and they are marching here on the Norskins, who are now surging out of the forest. Sip of tea here. Oh, that's some good old tea, guys. That's delicious. I do miss coffee though, but whenever I drink coffee, it makes my wrists hurt for some reason, because maybe I have some sort of tendon or joint damage or something, but yeah. Anyways, Tomb Guard with halberds getting ready to meet the front line of the Norskins. The Marauders will perform very well against Skeleton Spears. They'll be able to outtrade them pretty well, especially with the Enraged mechanic. Berserkers, again, will beat any of the frontline troops, but the Ushopti could make a big difference. Now, it looks like here on the flanks, Ulrich is trying to do some light skirmishing here with his throwing axes, granted a little bit of ammo being wasted on skeletons. We also have Throg, we have the Werekin, and we also have the Famir Balefiend with fire. What I think he might be doing here is maybe looking to do a flank overload. So basically there are spears defending, but if he attacks with Throg, tar pits the spears, and then uses a burning head to burn them down, that can net some serious value, to say the least. But I don't know, we'll see if he uses it that way. He might. So here in the front line, Norskins are advancing. You can see Berserkers coming over here. The archers of the Tomb Kings are shooting downtown into the Famir warriors with great weapons. Throwing axes still, unfortunately, are on fire at will and are wasting a little bit of ammo here. And it looks like, oh no, that burning head can be so nasty. Is Vlaski going to be able to dodge that? Oh, that was a good one. Oh, man. Oh, that's so good and tasty. God, that was a brutal one. And that alone could, like, win Norske the game. Like, that is so painful. I mean, granted, he still has a lot of archers left to fire with, so it's not going to be game-ending. Like, if he's able to snipe Throg here, for example, that would be huge for sure. But that was a beautiful burning head right there. Unfortunately, some Famir also charging into braced halberds here without their support. So a little bit kind of a foolhardy are those Famir warriors right there. But nonetheless, the value of the back line is pretty good. A lot of the skeleton archers are close to crumbling. And Cetra is able to come in there with some focus fire and do a ton of damage against Throg. It looks like the Blade of Petra has been popped, giving him fire damage. But now Cetra is kind of on the return here. He's got to be careful. There's a lot of throwing axes here. Throg's anti-large, the Werekin's anti-large, and Cetra is forced back. It looks like another burning head coming down. Oh no! The carnage, the absolute carnage. The burning heads have been so good. One group of skeleton archers completely destroyed. other two are certainly on the ropes. Now, as far as the frontline fighting goes, it's relatively even. The Berserkers, of course, getting through the halberds, Famir taking quite a bit of damage, and it's still a very, very close game. Certainly anyone's game, but currently I would say Alrik is in the more commanding position, considering he was able to just melt those archers so hard in the back line. Now on the flanks, good catch here. Nehekar horsemen are able to get on the Marauders here, and Throg is in a duel of fates here with Settra, but he does also have the Skinwolf Werkin. However, I mean, Throg is very, very low as well. Maybe Settra should cast some buffs on himself, like the protection, and just turn and fight, because if he breaks Throg and chases him off, I would say that would be a really good way to get back in this game here. Ushapti Summon has been used, and you can see the Skinwolves here, the Armored Skinwolves, are broken off here by the Focus Fire from the Blessed Legion of Demonetization. And Zablaski was actually falling behind on the Bounce Power quite visibly here, but now you can see with some of his Ushapti Summons and his good isolations, and also breaking off the Throwing Axes and Skinwolves, he's able to get a good gooning attempt here on Throg. So Zablaski, is he going to be able to get back in this game despite those burning heads? Perhaps so, and you can see that Throg's on the ground now. Skinwolves are coming in. They are the armored variant, which makes them much more durable here against the Nehekar horsemen. And also there is a Balefiend, but Norske looks a little bit naked here, guys. But also remember, there is an Ushapti Summon active, and when that Ushapti Summon disappears, it could really change the dynamic of this particular engagement. So over here, Throg Daddy still fighting, -1, 24 leadership, just staying strong. Ooh, nice Wrath Patrar right there, but it's not really going to do anything. Most of the troops nearby, it's better against like infantry and things like that. So this blob fight's obviously going on. Archers in the back are still shooting, but oh man, somehow Ulrich is able to get some Famir through, and suddenly, you know, this archer line is going to be offline, which is going to take away a lot of the power here from the Chum King's back line. Here, Throg Daddy's actually broken, and this is Zablaski's first way back into the game. If he's able to keep Throg off the battlefield, but I don't think Ulrich's going to let that happen. I think Ulrich will send in his Marauder Horsemen to buy time for Throg, at which point Throg will run, he'll probably rally, and he'll probably regenerate. And you can see the edge of the map is like, yeah, it's pretty far. Throg should be able to come back from that. Now on the front line, Marauders are beating Spearmen, Berserkers beating Halberds, Berserkers over here are winning their fights. Norske is basically winning the entire front line. Granted, if Settra is able to get a commanding lead in the fight here against, you know, some of the leadership. Oh no, look at this, Settra is able to break through the ranks. Oh, that is Value City. So Settra and his horsemen break through, they get past the Marauder Horseman's screen, and now they're going to be chasing off Throg and Skinwolves. That is huge. Great catch right there. Now, however, though, Norske still has a lot. They have the Famir here. They still have the Skinwolf. Werkin, who, of course, is a very powerful anti-large duelist character. I mean, he's going to be able to go fisticuffs with Settra, even. Archers in the backline are done, and like I said, Norske has pretty much won all the infantry engagements. Many halberd units have gone down, and even despite that really good pick of Throg being chased off the battlefield, it's still Norskin favored based on those circumstances. And it looks like Throg is going to be escorted happily off. Those horsemen, you know, just kind of paddling him on the rear there, making sure he leaves the battlefield here. And we do have Settra the Imperishable. Let's see where he's going to go. I would imagine he's going to go right off these Famir warriors here, at which point he can then chase them off with some very beat-up horsemen. At the back, archers are all but done. Skeleton archers have a couple models left. Ulrich still in pretty good shape here, but it's a close battle. You guys can see the bounce has been periodically going in the favor of the Norskins here, but it keeps kind of pulling back towards the middle as Zablaski is able to make these good plays and scrap his way back into the game. But man, those Burning Skulls were so nasty early. So here comes Settra charging into the ranks here. Brutal stuff. Wrath of Patrar going down as well. Will he serve or will he rule? We will certainly find out in this game as the Skinwolf Werkin is on the hunt. And look at the Norskins just buckle before the wrath of Settra. But here comes the Skinwolf Werkin, anti-large attacks. 3,800 HP on Settra. We'll take note of that so we can see if the Skinwolf Werkin is able to make contact. Down to 37, so it looks like the Skinwolf was able to get his Pimp Werewolf Claws in there and do some work. The Wrath of Settra does go down, the Curse. So when Settra gets below half health, or I believe it's a certain threshold of health, he basically triggers a Curse, which does like big AoE damage. And here comes Settra the Imperishable. Cascading Fire Cloak is active, it looks like, on some of the Norskin troops, but I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's looking a little bit scary for the Norskins. Even though the bounce power is even, I think that Settra is slowly taking this game. Settra perhaps rules. Settra demands a rubber match. He wants game 3. And the Skinwolf Werkin here is like pretty powerful, but like he's not going to be able to deal with all these spears and like the Necrotect and just being tar pitted. And also we have the Balefiend. So Settra, I think at this point, just ignore the Werkin, maybe finish off the Balefiend and some of the Famir here and try and get terror outs. And it looks like that is indeed what Zablaski is going to be doing. So he pulls the spears. Settra is going to be able to terror out off these Famir, as they're not immune to psychology, and they have pretty poor leadership, actually. So the Famir here, after a couple of good attacks, probably will start to break down, but we'll find out for sure. So bounce power is still even. Norske does have some stuff on the edge trying to come back, but really good control of Zablaski actually getting his horsemen here. They're just saying good luck, have fun, and you know, chasing off the scraps, making sure nothing comes back. So as far as what Norske has, they have a Balefiend, they have the Skinwolf Werkin. Settra is in pretty good shape, 3,100 HP, and he is able to start beating down the Famir. Now they're terrified, yeah, Nehekar warriors or horsemen will easily chase him off the battlefield. And at this point, I think it's pretty much, I mean, yeah, the bounce power is even, but I just don't see how Norske can win this. Unless Zablaski really screws up with Cetra and lets him like die to the Skin Wolf. Yeah, but the Skin Wolf's really actually doing a good job sticking on him. I mean, maybe there's a chance for Norske since there are some troops coming back here. Oh, I did not see this. All right, guys, so maybe Norske is still in this game as a Skin Wolf Werekin isn't going to be able to anchor this battle. I don't know. If Zablaski loses Cetra to the Skin Wolf Werekin, that's probably the only way Norske can fight through this game. The Ushopti Summon going down here. Marauders, of course, pushing back into combat against the Skeleton Spears. And the Balefiend is broken off, and now the Skin Wolf Werekin is basically just going to be ping-pong balled around by Cetra the Imperishable. So 2,300 on Cetra in terms of HP left. Some Berserkers coming back over here. Marauder Infantry trying their best to fight, and they should be able to maybe grind through these Skeleton Spears with their numbers here, but if Cetra even shows its face over here, the Imperishable one, it's probably going to instantly rout those guys off. So the Werekin's still in the hunt. Cetra's got to run away from that Werewolf. That thing is just not giving up. But Cetra coming in here, the Marauders are going to run. Wrath Patrat, brutal explosion right in the center of those infantry. They done been halved. And yeah, I mean, Cetra just needs to Tokyo drift around, just chase off the scraps, use the horsemen to make sure the elite units like the Famir and the Balefiend over there don't come back, and the Skin Wolf Werekin is not going to be able to solo all of this. Now, the Skin Wolf Werekin of old, before he got nerfed, perhaps he would be able to, but Cetra just doing such work here. And you can see Norske is sending troops back in, the Werekin is on the hunt, and he's gotten Cetra down pretty low, but now Cetra has popped the Blade of Patrat, he also has the Cursed Blades, he's doing fire damage, the Skin Wolf is weak to fire, he should be taking a bit of damage here, but the Skin Wolf does have that kind of annoying trait where he gets knocked over a lot, much like Gorbel. And even though he's getting knocked over and, you know, isn't fighting, he's also not going to be taking damage, which is a pretty interesting thing. There you go, Cetra getting some good damage right in the face of that Werekin right there. And now you can see when the Werekin takes that damage, the bounce power for the first time here is going to be going in the favor of Zablaski and the Tomb Kings, which if Zablaski does take this game, they go to game 3, they go to a glorious rubber match. And again, Imperator waits atop his throne of skulls for the winner of the series, so it's certainly going to be quite a bit of fun. As the Werekin is starting to kind of get broken down. He, of course, will be immune to Psychology while his Frenzy's active, so won't be able to be terror routed off. I do not believe the Werekin has a natural immunity to Psych, aside from his Frenzy mechanic. And negative 115, and that is going to be army losses, as Cetra the Imperishable rules! And we go to game 3. Man, despite those burning heads, the Tomb Kings are able to pull that one out. What a scrap. And an absolute barn burner. So guys, hopefully you're enjoying the stream. We're doing it to it. So let's go ahead and update the scoreboard to reflect the current state of this game here. Zablaski is 1-1. Thank you guys for joining us. This is great. Yeah, Garland, again, thank you so much for that $50 donation, man. That's super generous of you. And here we go, guys. Here we go. So let's go ahead and go back to the lobby here. We'll pick the last map, and this one we'll do Troll Country. Actual Country, do I want to do that one? I'll save that for the finals. We will do Ogham Shard is like too dark. We'll do the Golden Claw. No, not Golden Colossus. There's like a one with a pillar in the middle that I like a lot. We'll do Sword of Torgold. That's a great map. Sword of Torgold, one of my favorite maps for sure. So now the players will do their picks and bans. And we'll see. Zablaski asking for the ban from his fellow countrymen here. Yeah, the Archers got wrecked. That was a really GG. That was a tense one. Cetra is a powerhouse, though. Cetra can win games like that. Throg getting pushed off is what lost the game. Because then, like, there wasn't, like, enough to deal with Cetra. Yeah, and do drop a like if you guys are enjoying the stream. As much as I loathe asking for likes, it does help me out. That's what I do for a living. Deacon Scale Singer is correct. Can Kalita on a Serpent be mounted by Heal and Restore? I do not believe so, Warden Monksy. Kalita's like so weird because she's like one of those like things that's just like in the middle. She's like, she buffs missile units, but she's like a good combatant, but not good enough in combat to be like a pick, but like also like not good enough for supporting your range to be picked. Kalita's in like a very awkward zone. Yeah, Mr. Picard, I thought so as well. I thought the Burning Heads were going to end it. And then we got Jay in chat. He's like, I guess I'm starting a new Cetra campaign. I guess I'm doing it. So, we got... So, he's banning Skaven. And so, basically, how it works is when you go to Rubber Match, both players ban a faction, and then they both pick. So, it alternates, basically. So, Ulrich is going to ban Skaven, and now he picks, I believe. And then Zablaski... No, and then Zablaski bans... Yeah, so they basically alternate in that sense. It's a little bit different. Let's drink some water. Hey, what's up, Sanier? I got your replay, man. Glad to see you back in the community. Yeah, Aerocrostic is correct. I mean, just because something has anti-large, there's differing, varies. Like some things have a bonus versus large of like 20 plus, some have like 8, and it's basically gives like a percentage increase if I'm not mistaken. Werekin are okay. They're okay. They are indeed. And it looks like Zablasky then picks, so he takes Wood Elves and he bans Tomb Kings. So Zablasky's saving his best faction for last, holding it out. Sword of Torgold, it's time. And what will the Norsken bring? What will Ulrich bring? Will he bring chaos? Oh, did he already ban Tomb King? We got to scroll up and see. We got to. If he did, then he can't do it again. You can only ban a faction once. I can't scroll up hard enough to see. I don't think I can. Let's see. Outskirts go. So Norske bans Starwing and Dark Elves. If he did, then obviously he can still bring Tomb Kings, but I can't scroll up that far, so it'll be on them to remember that, unfortunately. I could actually scroll back in the replay in the stream. Can one of you guys go back to the beginning of this series? You should be able to rewind here and take a look and see if he did ban Tomb Kings in the first game. Because if I do it, then it'll just play back the sound and like echo. But if you guys can't find it, then we'll double check here. Oh, Zablasky says he forgot about it. So okay, so he did do it. Don't worry about it, guys. Scratch that. Thank you so much, though. Then he's banning Chaos, which is smart. Chaos has some good pressure on Wood Elves, for sure. So, honestly, we're probably going to see a Tomb King pick, maybe. It seems like the fact that he brought it up means that he probably was looking to play Tomb Kings here. So he can't play Norske, can't play Chaos, and he cannot play Wood Elves. But, of course, Ulrich can play pretty much everyone else. Oh no, the raid begins! And they're copying chat now, too! Guys, the Slanesh bots are striking. Oh my god. Oh! It begins! Hold! Oh, we have Empire. Interesting. Ulrich going with an Empire pick. Okay. So we got Empire versus Wood Elves. This is always a fun one. Empire heavy calves chasing down archers. Archers kiting and Preyavanath Rayming things. Perhaps Zablasky will bring a tree build and just surprise everyone. Who knows? Sword of Torgold, of course, has the option for a couple different builds here. It was only one Slanesh bot. That was the vanguard of their army, guys. It wasn't the full might. Hey, Falcon, what's up, man? As a matter of fact, Falcon, we had a glorious Bretonnian game earlier. Alas, they fell to your own people, the lizards, but it was a good one nonetheless. Who summoned the bots? I don't know who it was. Usually when the stream gets above like a certain size, like becomes like one of the top like 10 or top 15 streams on YouTube, in terms of gaming, it then gets their attention. That's why when we had like almost 2,500 people on our Faction War stream, the Slanesh bots were like just going berserk because they could see they could see the blood in the water. They were frenzying fish, frenzying piranhas coming in. But luckily our valiant mods held firm and banished them to the Shadow Realm. Thank you, Misha. Appreciate it. All right. The dogs are barking. Just causing problems in the neighborhood. We're having a stream, all right. Garland says, by the way, Turin, I don't really use the mod powers. No, please, man. Hey, Turin, how do you know we are all not Slanesh? I know, that's the thing. Now we're getting into some like otherworldly kind of cosmic horror stuff, right? Like The Thing. Oh my god, that's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. The with Kurt Russell, The Thing. It's so good. That movie was like really disturbing when I first saw it. Slanesh only pays attention to big streams, yeah. Yeah, Navi 2691. We'll have more Faction Wars soon, so stay tuned for that, man. I would actually really like to see High Elves played as well, and considering Zablasky plays them, and I think Imperator plays them as well, we could see some High Elves in a best of 5 final. I played a High Elf game on Ladder the other day, livecast, which will be going up soon. It was a really good game. Yeah, Empire is kind of I think Empire has some tools. Because the Empire Heavy Cav kind of functions like Chaos Heavy Cav does in this matchup. It's really good at pressuring the Elves. Yeah. The Thing got a remake in like 2011, which was quite mediocre. And I think it's getting another one now. Oh my god, if they brought back Kurt Russell for it, I mean, that wouldn't really make sense. I wonder if they're going to, like, continue the story from the Kurt Russell version, or if they're going to, like, just rehash the whole idea. That movie was disturbing as hell, though. The practical effects were so freaky. Yeah, Caleb, I didn't even read your comment, and then you said the exact same thing. Yeah, the practical effects are so good. Hadri says, I know for a fact Ulrich likes the Sunmaker. Oh, the dreaded Sunmaker comes for the Elves. The Sunmaker, I actually bring it against High Elves sometimes when I play Empire. It can really catch people off guard. It has really crazy range and can wreck archers. So there's some reasons to bring it. Garland, well, you got a little time. You got a little time. You don't see Orc Boys terribly often, Matt. Still betting Zablaski will bring Dwellers below to use on artillery. Yeah, usually putting it on like a Great Eagle so you can fly and shut down artillery pieces. Granted, you got to be careful. You know, Empire can bring nets and, you know, if you get caught naked there with a bunch of, like, you know, missile pieces. All right, good luck, have fun. Looks like they're both ready, and let us go into the rubber match to decide who shall, you know, decide the fate of Middle-earth against Imperator. Back in 1 second, guys. I return, my friends. In your hour of need, it is I. Sorry, I was just getting a little snack real quick. I was like, tummy's growling over here. Second, guys. All right, I return. Sorry about that. Looks like players are still loading in anyway, so we haven't missed any of the action. I think we got pretty good success today with that, not to jinx it. As a matter of fact, when we had the stream going in the beginning, like, Steam was down for like the first hour of the tournament, so people, like, only like a couple people were able to play. It was very strange. So for the forces of the Wood Elves, Zablaski coming in with the Glade Lord on foot. Interesting choice. So, of course, Pravenoth Rema and the Arrows of Kurnus. So basically, you bring a Waystalker plus a Glade Lord. And the reason you do this is because they both have an ability called the Arrow of Kurnus, which is really good at sniping out artillery pieces and has insane range of 600 meters. So basically, you can snipe out things like the Sunmaker, like the Hammer of the Witches, which, of course, people love artillery against Wood Elves. So the tech against that is basically just bringing the double Arrow of Kurnus. For the main line here, it's going to be Eternal Guard across the entire Sunset. Dryads, of course, very good against state troops with their combat stats, their physical resist as well. In the back, we have the Zablaski and, Hawkeyes of Drakira going with double Waywatcher and one of the elite ones as well. Of course, very good for sniping Empire Lords. All it takes is one screw up. Like, if you screw up once against a good Wood Elf player, you know, someone like Zablaski or Zyphos, of course, and they're able to get that juicy prey on your Lords here, you're going to have a bad time. Here we do also have a Spellsinger of Life. We have a couple groups of Wild Riders. No, Sisters of Thorn, actually. So it looks like he's going to be taking a more passive approach towards the Cav game, not trying to fight them, but rather kite them with Sisters and countercharge them once they're in a vulnerable, kind of worn down position. Good army. I dig it. Now for the forces of the Empire, the Sons of Sigmar, Ulrich Rahl. He's got Spearmen in the front line, Swordsman as well. He does have a Huntsman. Oh, look at this, going with triple Huntsman. So actually going to be trying to contest the Archer game, and Huntsmen actually have some teeth here because they have a very loose formation. So Waywatchers, though they do hurt them, it doesn't like punish them as badly as it would like a tightly packed unit. Knights of the Blazing Sun into the Sunset, so 3 of those guys. And he does also have Toddy, who of course is a strong, independent lad. He don't need no heals. And let's see what else we got here. I think there's got to be a caster hiding in the trees, a Jade Wizard. So he's got heals regardless, as well as the Awakening of the Wood. So some wood shall be awakened. We'll find out. No artillery, though, so the Arrows of Kurnus aren't going to be terribly useful, and just basically a metric ton of infantry just stretching out to the sunset. Now, the state troops will struggle against Dryads, but Dryads, of course, the Knights of the Blazing Sun can pretty much cycle charge this infantry into oblivion as well. So I would say both players have some pretty good tools against one another's armies. Saying good luck, have fun, good sportsmanship all around. Obviously the most important thing in these tournaments. It's one of the few bannable offenses, like instantly banning is if somebody shows bad sportsmanship or talks smack in a serious way. And here you go, Arrows of Kurnus being used, taking some pot shots into the cav here, taking out 4 of the Knights of the Blazing Sun models, and actually another 2 on this group. Certainly not bad. I mean, yeah, there's no other targets, there's no artillery. Granted, he could have maybe tried to use it to snipe the Jade Wizard, but the Jade Wizard, of course, could probably juke it a little bit easier than the Knights of the Blazing Sun could. Huntsman here falling back. Huntsman also have stock as well, so currently the Wood Elves are not aware of this. If the Huntsman can get the jump on the Way Watchers, that would be pretty strong for sure. Now, they're outrange, though. They have 160 range. Way Watchers do, of course, have 190. Some of the best archers in the entire game. So we'll see who's able to get the archer jump. That is going to be a big deciding factor. Now, the Empire archers are still hidden, whereas the Wood Elf archers here, these Way Watchers, are currently visible. So maybe the Huntsman will scoot up, but at the very least, a big salvo of fire coming into these Sisters of Thorn here. That's going to be pretty punishing. Remember, those shots are anti-large shots, and it's really putting some serious hurt on those ladies. So nice picks there. Both players getting a little bit of damage back and forth. But now the Empire is going to be surging through the valley. Knights of the Blazing Sun and a huge Death Star of Empire Cav coming around here, while the Huntsmen continue to push forward. And the Wood Elves are, of course, kiting backwards, trying to find that ideal engagement before they really commit to a big, balls-deep fight. So Knights of the Blazing Sun maybe going to be trying to pressure some of these troops here. I mean, Sisters of Thorn are not going to take a straight engagement. What they'll do is they'll use their free curse they have. So they have the Curse of Onrare, which of course slows units down. It looks like maybe trying to snipe out the Jade Wizard, but Ulrich is ready for that, and he actually dodges it. And you can see here, by having the Glade Lord on foot, unfortunately, he can't get in position to get the praise of an Othramim as easily. For example, had he been on an Eagle, he probably could have prayed that Jade Wizard right quickly and probably killed it, to be honest, with the focus fire from the Way Watchers and the Hawkeyes of Jakira. But now we have a huge Empire surge coming in, and the Wood Elves are going to run out of map very, very quickly. If you look in the back, like, yeah, they can kite back for some time, but the Empire eventually will corner them, and they're going to be forced to fight here. Although, if this was actual real Warhammer, they could, like, kite, for quite some time, I would imagine. So here you can see Knights of the Blazing Sun are looking to fight here. It looks like there's going to be an Awakening of the Wood, that's what she said, going back here, and those Way Watchers, or Sisters of Thorn, excuse me, are going to be temporarily slowed, but it doesn't, they're still going to be able to get away, probably. It looks like Toddy going in for a very risky engagement. The Hawkeyes of Jakira are nearby. Zablaski is close by with his Glade Lord as well, so he could probably get a prey, but it looks like the fact that the Glade Lord is on foot is kind of denying a lot of these different attacks here. Way Watchers dropping a huge volley of fire here into those Knights of the Blazing Sun, and here it comes. So the Hawkeyes of Jakira are going to be lining up their sights on the Jade Wizard here. And the Jade Wizard might just get crumped here. Oh, and the Arrows of Kurnus. Oh, man, Zablaski with the snipe of the gods. So he prayed. He did the double Glade Lord, Waystalker, Arrow of Kurnus, and Way Watcher Valleys, and just literally deleted that freaking caster. Just like the source code of that Jade Wizard was removed from the game. Direct message sent to Creative Assembly during that snipe. Just remove it. I mean, just absolutely delete it. Nonetheless, so Toddy is independent. He's going to be pretty good. Oh, man, and you can see the retaliation's coming. There is no prey of an Othramim right now. So Knights of the Blazing Sun are engaging here in combat against Dryads. Toddy going for the snipe here on the Wood Elf Lord, trying to get some vengeance, as there are some state troops pushing forward as well. So we also have the Huntsman here. Dryads actually getting worn down. You can see the Dryads getting focus fired by the Huntsman, and the state troops of the Empire winning all these engagements here. So as long as Toddy's careful, there's many things that are going quite well for the Empire. However, the fact that the Jade Wizard was sniped is a pretty brutal situation, and the Knights of the Blazing Sun actually end up on the receiving end of that fight because of the Eternal Guard and Dryad buffering. They weren't able to get the fight they want on top of the Sisters. So here comes more focus fire from the Way Watchers, just getting some brutal damage right here on the Knights of the Blazing Sun and forcing those guys back. And I like the fact that Ulrich is falling back as well, getting his buying time for his Huntsman to kind of get up and engage. And I mean, Ulrich still has a ton of state troops and Toddy, so he certainly has some teeth here in this fight. As you can see here, Toddy is going to be jumping in and starting to put some pressure on them. In the meantime, Knights of the Blazing Sun falling back, which I think is a smart play. Keep them back here and just let your state troops grind this battle out. And when the ammunition is a little bit more sparse on the Wood Elf forces, at that point you do advance. Granted, Bounce Power is still Wood Elf favored at this point. Sniping out that caster was a huge play. Also doing this much damage against the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and the fact that they moved in one big blob certainly made it a little bit easier for the Wood Elves to kind of prepare for that engagement there. They were able to get one big curse off, lower their melee attack, lower their speed, and then counterpunch. So now the state troops here, the Spearmen are losing against the Dryads. Sisters of Thorn charging up against these guys. And Zablaski still has a lot of stuff. He's got Eternal Guard here. He does on the flank also have some support, I think. Yeah, it looks like for the most part, this is his kind of pocket of strength here. Sigmar Sons are coming in, should be able to put up a good fight against Dryads. And another group of Swordsmen coming in as well. And Huntsmen are basically just trading volleys. Looks like there's going to be some sort of a heal here. Maybe a regrowth going down, perhaps? Yeah, regrowth right there on the Sisters of Thorn. Pretty good choice. Certainly a value target to heal, and they have most of their models, so that's going to be a pretty big heal, I would imagine. Huntsmen are now starting to take some firepower from the Way Watchers, and Zablaski, of course, you can always tell the sign of a Wood Elf main when they're very good at managing their ammunition, just like making sure to only use the volleys when you have to, when there's a good target, and not wasting it on like swordsmen and units like that. Now, this is also a good play by Ulrich, going on the flank, realizing he can't really crack this center position, and go and just, push off these Dryads, push off these Eternal Guard using your Cav, which is then going to open a metaphorical and literal floodgate into the back line here. Well, I guess it's not really literal, but it'll open a gate back there. Now, the cost of that, though, is that the Sisters of Thorn and the other mobile Wood Elf units can now ride through the front, and you can see that these Huntsmen are going to be getting crumped pretty hard as the Wood Elves do pull more and more ahead in this bounce of power. Knights of the Blazing Sun have a couple opportunities. I mean, they could push through here. Toddy is trying to rout off these Eternal Guard, but Eternal Guard are one of the better, cheaper units in the game in terms of just being durable and solid. I mean, they have, great AP values. They have great leadership for like how cheap they are. It's really, really solid. So this is also a really good option. Go for the leadership of the Wood Elves. Try and take them down. And, just it's a bit of a desperate gambit. But if Toddy is able to like kill this Lord, for example, with the support of these Knights, that would be a huge boon for sure. As you can see, the Empire is kind of in shambles here, to be honest. You can see that all these troops here are just getting run down. There are some state troops here, and for the most part, the Glade Lord did take some damage from Toddy, but now Toddy has to respect the fact that there are Way Watchers here, and probably a Prey of Anathrema off cooldown. I don't know how many he's used this game. I think it's 2. Yeah, Prey of Anathrema right there. And now suddenly there's going to be these 2 elite archers shooting you, Way Watchers shooting you, and that's probably going to seal the game. I don't see Toddy getting out of this net in a timely manner, although he will fly back up in the sky, which is a bit of a weird bug. I wish that didn't happen. But nonetheless, the characters are shooting Toddy. Toddy's taking a ton of focus fire from the Way Watchers. But, I mean, let's see. I mean, maybe if he can finish off this character. But even still, it's looking grim. The Empire has state troops fighting, some Knights of the Blazing Sun, Sigmar Suns. But, like, Empire's just being collapsed everywhere. And Toddy is going to go down. And there you have it, guys. Zablaski losing the first game, but coming back with a 2-0 sweep after that. And now Zablaski is going to be facing off against Imperator in a glorious best-of-5 final. Very well played to Ulrich Rahl. Awesome builds. I really like the Huntsman, actually, though they didn't seem to do like that much. I thought it was like a cool idea in theory. And yeah, it really just came down to some of the big engagements with the Cav, and the good isolations from Zablaski. Deleting the source code of that Jade Wizard as well was incredibly impressive. Because, like, it might look like, oh, that's easy. Like, he just took out that Jade Wizard, but it's actually really hard to do that all that quick. He prayed, switched his targets, manually clicked 2 Arrow of Kurnuses, targeted that character all within a matter of like a couple seconds. It was very impressive micro. Very, very impressive micro indeed. So now, guys, Zablaski is going to be advancing to the finals to face Imperator. Let's get back to the lobby here. And now we'll invite Imperator for this best of 5. And let us do it to it. So Imperator, the password, of course, is in the Discord. Well played, well played. That was a really cool game, actually. that snipe on the Lord was insanely good. The River Amazon for the first map. Toddy's too weak. Help him. I know indeed. So let's go ahead and set this up. We'll go to the bracket real quick, and we will move Zablaski on to the grand finals against Imperator. We're in for a Royal Rumble, guys. This is going to be great. Fasten your seatbelts. I'm going to report the scores on challenge for these 2 fine gentlemen. Yeah, we'll do that. That's fine. Cool. There we go. And now we have Zablaski versus Imperator. Hey, so it's best of 5, and it's single ban now, not double. So the thing that changes on our best of 5s is it becomes a single ban instead of a double. Changes in best of 5. Just making sure both players know that as they do their picks and bans, and we can continue to update the graphics. Come back here. We just need to update the scoreboard, and we are all set here for the finals. Imperator undefeated today, not dropping any games at all. Absolute powerhouse. Let's go ahead and do this. Representing Clan ODM with pride, I would imagine. And Zablaski putting on great shows across the board as well. I think Zablaski only lost 1 game today as well. Let me check. So Zablaski dropped 1 against Ulrich, and it looks like Zablaski only dropped 1 game in total. So both of these guys just tearing through the competition. Hey, Kimsey Bimpsey says, hey, Turin, next episode of the Jawi campaign. I know, but that'll be soon. That'll probably go up like Monday or Tuesday. I'm going to do it as a video. Yeah, very well played, Ulrich. Those were great games. Those were great games indeed. Toddy was tossed. Yes, he was. Ulrich did a very, very good job. Same order, but just one band now. Yes, map is River Amixon. Cool. So the players are going into this best of 5. We are on River Amixon. And we're going to see what they decide on here in a moment. And thank you guys so much for joining. Everyone know cardio is the way to win. Yeah, cardio is important. I don't know where Imperator is from, actually. I have no idea. Grudges, there's not too many grudges being satisfied today. I'm sure there was some dwarf... we had Grombrindle in today's tournament, so I'm sure there was some dwarf action earlier in the event. As a matter of fact, I casted one of the games that Grombrindle played, so there is going to be some dwarf action on the channel soon. Yeah, you're a little bit late, Paul, but not too bad, brother. Where are the dwarves? I don't know. I don't think either of these guys are dwarf players, really. Okay, so Imperator is going to pick Lizardmen, and he will ban Skaven. And now Zablaski has the choice. He says, oh boy. Is he going to go with his elves right away? Try and draw first blood. We will see. He says, do you want the good old Wood Elves versus Lizardmen? We saw that earlier, and we saw Imperator win. Wait, did Imperator win that one? I think he did. Yeah, he did. With his, or was that Zablaski? No, Zablaski was playing the Lizards that game. I can't remember. I haven't eaten much today. I had something at like 8 a.m., but now it's like almost like 2 or 3. So it's getting there, guys. There was a Glorious Empire battle for sure, but alas, you can go back and check it out as we move on here. 1,200 people, pretty awesome. Thank you guys for joining during the week. I know it's late for a lot of you guys in Europe, so really appreciate having you guys here. And yeah, people sending some nice replays from today's tournament. They'll be ending up on the channel, I'm sure. Yeah, I used to watch the Viking show, yeah. I haven't seen the most recent seasons. Zablaski says, I mean, I'd rather hold on to the Wood Elf pick, but Temptation, too much. For the old quick battle time's sake. So Zablaski on the Wood Elves, Imperator on the Lizards. Apparently these guys have a bit of a rivalry, a friendly one, going back to the latter days before there was a lot of tournaments, I guess. And they played this matchup a lot, which is pretty hilarious. So we'll see how this goes. That was Zablaski's loss, that's right. Yeah, so this is going to be a good one, guys. It's on. Lizards and Wood Elves. Yeah, very popular today, but, you know, it just depends on who makes it to the finals. You know, when you see some people, you see Beastmen, you know, and some people play Empire a lot. Like, it just depends on who makes it. And we got Aiden Plays, 2004. Hey, Turin, just got back from school. How's it going, man? It's going very well, man. Hope school's going well for you. You know, stay in school, keep those grades up, man. Life will be good. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to the stream. Yeah. I don't want to, yeah. I enjoyed Vikings a lot. It was a fun show. And as a matter of fact, I will finish it. I just have to wait for Lady's turn to catch up. So Zablaski is ready. He says he'll AFK for half a minute while Imperator picks his army. Ready, up, when good. And it's funny because, you know, we saw the double laser build, so we saw it lose. So what will Imperator do differently than we saw earlier with the double laser build? Because that was Zablaski's loss. It was his loss. Navi2691 says it's never too late. Europe is with you. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear it. I have very low standards for shows, like honestly, but there's a couple of shows I've been really enjoying. The Expanse. This one I've really been enjoying quite a bit. But I just binged through the last season they put out, so now I'm waiting for the next one. But I really like sci-fi stuff. Like Firefly was one of my favorite shows when I was younger. You know, and I love the sci-fi kind of spacefaring shows. So, yeah, I really loved Firefly. And Expanse is kind of like a little bit more epic in scale. And it also has, yeah, it's great. Expanse is a good show. River Amixon, so there could be some ambushes, some tree fighting. As a matter of fact, I have a suspicion we might see some tree boxing in the forest from Zablaski. Maybe. A tree Death Star with, like, Durthu. Just like... But again, he has to be attacking with something. So, you know, he'd have to have some skirmishers or archers kind of poking and stroking. I don't know. We'll see. All right, guys, just double checking to make sure no blockers going up. Imperialist Gondola. Will there ever be an SFO tournament? I'm not. I prefer the vanilla experience. Yeah. So, I don't know if I'll ever do an SFO tournament. I know Indie Pride does those things for sure. I don't know if he does them often or if it's like a sponsored thing he does with SFO or the crew, but yeah, he does those tournaments and, you know, he does a good job with them. But yeah, SFO really, I don't do too many mods. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, stretching them old bones. Them Old Bones is actually a good song by Alice in Chains. You ever seen the sci-fi movie Sunshine? Yes, I have. It's a good one. It's a good one indeed. Turin, if you like The Expanse and Firefly, have you seen Battlestar Galactica? Is like one of my favorite shows. Yeah, the remake with Admiral. So that was what got me like back into like the sci-fi genre. The Admiral with what's his name? Edward James Olmos playing Admiral Adama, and man, Battlestar Galactica. There was like memes before I watched Battlestar Galactica. I remember seeing memes about how binged that show is, but when I started watching, I just couldn't put it down. Like I literally just like cleaved through the whole show. All right, guys, back to business. So for the Wood Elves here in the front line, we have a combination of Dryads and War Dancers. Interesting. So it looks like Zablasky is going to be trying to contest the front line rather than kind of rely on kiting. So he's going to be going to fight with the War Dancers, who do trade somewhat well with Saurus. It's a bloody affair, to say the least. He does also have the Glade Guard with Starfire Shaft Line, a Pravenoth Rema Lord up in the sky on an Eagle, a couple of Eternal Guard on the flanks, I would imagine, just to kind of protect against cab pressure and things like that. Wild Riders with shields, one group there, and it looks like one group in the forest that are going to be the Wild Hunters of Kurnus with their anti-large, of course, making them quite good against some of the Saurus infantry or Saurus cab units. Cold One Riders, you guys get the picture. Now for the forces here of Imperator, a metric shit ton of skinks. So it looks like in total it's going to be 5 groups of chameleons, which are going to be very annoying. They'll kite the War Dancers, they'll kite the Dryads, they'll take minimal damage from the archers. So yeah, this is a really good pick by Imperator. I love it. Now in the main line here, it's going to be skink cohorts. It's also going to be Saurus warriors with shields, a couple groups of Cold One Spear Riders to contest the Wild Rider game and put some pressure. And it looks like he just moved those skinks there. It's not that he has more than 5. And we do also have a couple skink cohorts here, and it looks like a fat toad of high magic. So, ooh, that's good. So we've seen this with Felcon a couple times. You guys probably remember in the past couple weeks, we had games where Felcon would get Tempest. Somebody would fly too far forward, then they get blasted by like 5 skinks and the javelins from the skink cohorts. It can do some serious damage. So I like this pick. Apotheos is pretty good as well. And yeah, that's it. So basically, chameleons are going to be carrying this game. All the skinks kind of just tarp at things, and the Cold One Riders pressure wherever they can go. Yeah, guys, this is it. This is a good battle. This is going to be a rumble. Apparently, these guys have played a lot on ladder against one another. So very excited to see how this goes. One sec, guys. Just pulling up chat on my phone as well. I usually turn my phone off during streams because I don't know how to silence the notifications like an absolute plebeian. So Zablasky says so much infantry. Yeah. Oh my God. Look at the army size of that skink army. 1,500. And Zablasky's like, so much infantry. Yeah, it's a very, very good point. It's very true as well. One sec, guys. Okay, I just got to mute myself. And we got a donation from Frankie. Frankie says, great turny turn. Toss a coin to your likes. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the donation, man. And yeah, the gesture as well. So guys, the main battle is here. Here comes the Glade Lord. He watches and surveys the battlefield, awaiting the unholy horde of skinks that await him. And it looks like the chameleons have taken the high ground position. I have the high ground, Anakin. These guys are going to be surging down from the hills, maybe looking to deal with the Wild Hunters of Kurnus, who, I don't think the Wild Hunters could deal with these. I mean, they would charge, hurt one of them, then they get kind of pulled into different directions and poisoned and slowed. There are a couple Saurus in this army, actually, so I did miss those guys. So in the center, we have a couple Saurus. It looks like 3 in total, which is a very infantry-heavy army, which is typically quite good against focus fire play, right? Like, if you spread out your value, it's not going to be as bad when you lose something. That's kind of the general school of thought. The same principle applies in 40k or any other RTS game. Just going wide is better against, like, focus fire and sniping builds and things like that. So here we go, guys. It is time. Yeah, I actually like Dark Matter. I watched that show. I've seen Farscape. There's a lot of, like, good sci-fi shows out there. Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get distracted. Gotta focus on the game. It's so hard when you guys talk about my favorite shows and books and things like that. It's like, man, getting pulled in. So there are a couple skinks here. There's 3 on the top side, 2 right here. Chameleon skinks are very, very... Hey, get out of here. Bad notifications. You hear that? Just all the notifications just going off. I might have to mute the phone if it keeps going off. I went through and turned off most of them, but there's just a couple of them that just linger, and it's just such a pain in the butt. Now, as far as the battle goes, Dryads and Wild Riders a little bit apprehensive to approach the chameleon skink line, but the skinks are certainly not afraid. For anyone who doesn't know, chameleons have a really cool trait. So not only can they 360 shoot, kite, and are decent melee combat, but they also do have 40% missile resist, which is pretty serious for sure. So like the Glade Riders or the Glade Guard aren't going to be able to do too much damage against them in like any hurry. Yeah, they can burn them down, but it's not the best situation in the world. Now, as far as the way that Imperator is playing, it looks like he wants to get a surround. So he has a massive vanguard of skinks coming back here, and he's just going to kite. Like, he's going to try and pull apart the strong infantry core here of the Wood Elves, which is smart. The Wood Elves really have a build that wants to stay centralized. It wants to stay together, wants to protect its archers and grind out a frontline fight. But if Imperator doesn't give him that fight, he just pokes and trolls on the periphery against these non-shielded units, that's going to be really strong. Now, it looks like also that Zablasky does want to respond here with the Wild Hunters and get some work in. Oh, but look at this. Pravenoth Rhema actually going down. So he does use a Pravenoth Rhema here. A very valuable spell. He uses it on the Chameleons to try and focus them down with the Glade Guard. But nonetheless, that 40% resistance just paying huge, huge dues here. And he's got to be careful, guys. This Glade Lord is a little bit danger close to the lines here. And I would imagine that if a Tempest comes down, plus Skink support and Javelins, that could be really painful. So here we come, Zablasky chasing into the tree line, but I think this is what Imperator wanted. Oh no, it's an ambush, and the Lizards come out with an ambush at the last second. It looks like Zablasky was able to get the charge, but the Lizards had an ambush in the trees. The Coldwind Riders and the Skinks are now swarming the Wild Hunters of Kurnus. And these little bastards are just cackling and running away, annoying as ever. But man, making them pay the troll toll. However, the Wild Hunters do have Flesh to Stone, so their armor is 100 right now. And it looks like they're also going to be getting a regrowth. So it's not the worst situation in the world. Granted, a lot of Winds of Magic used in that situation. And these little skinks are finally going to get what they deserve here, as the Wild Riders do get a great punching charge there. So at the end of the day, it was a nice ambush, but the regrowth and Flesh to Stone did kind of buy time for that. Some skinks do get run over here, and now the mainline fighting is underway. So here, of course, we have the Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts being hunted down by Chameleons on the flank. Some War Dancers probably going to come peel these guys off, I would imagine, but some of the archers are shut down, so very, very good stuff. But this battle is just chaotic, it's all over the place, and it seems to be relatively even as far as trades. So now we have combat here between the Wild Hunters, who again have Flesh to Stone. It seems like the duration is forever on that thing. And some of the other Wild Riders do scream into the back and do hammer into these Chameleons. So both players getting pretty good value. And also, though the Wild Hunters of Kurnus are in a bit of a dicey situation, they're also getting some supporting Overwatch fire here from the Glade Guard, who will bring some extra AP against those armored Coldwind Knights. Dryades in the front line fighting Skinks, War Dancers fighting right here. A nice little penetration here by Imperator. He is able to get some forces and squeak through, but they are getting Last Samurai pretty damn hard. But, you know, the Lizards have a lot of stuff fighting. Nice Pravenoth Rhema right there, so it looks like it is indeed off cooldown. He is able to lock down those Coldwind Spear Riders, at which point Imperator does respond using the Apotheosis to try and keep those guys fighting. But, yeah, very, very pitched battle, to say the least. So it looks like over here, Dryads are getting kind of crushed on the flanks. War Dancers, of course, chasing Skinks, never a recipe for good times for those guys, but at the very least, they will chase them off probably to the edge of the map. And the Archer line for Zablasky still is online. So he has a couple of these Eternal Guard right here, or excuse me, the Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts shooting in, but it seems like the Lizards are swarming all over the place. I mean, there's just Skinks running into the back line. The Slann is getting back here to get his hands dirty. And the Wood Elves are actually able to put up a good fight over here in this flank. So Hand of Glory being used, not to give the reload skill to these guys, but the melee attack. But the Wild Riders plus the Lord, and I believe is that a Spellsinger? Okay, so the Wild Hunters of Kurnus were indeed buckled off, but now they're coming back and might be able to kind of peel off this frontline situation. So here the Coldwind Spear Riders finally being forced down. The Wood Elves might be able to kind of secure this flank a little bit, having pushed off a couple Skinks. But man, Lizards are just everywhere. If we look at the count left, there's 500 or about 500 Wood Elf troops left and 1,000 Lizards still on the battlefield here. You can see 42 Skinks fighting against Dryads right here. And the Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts, unfortunately, are caught by a horde of these happy little lizard boys. And the bounce power for the first time in the game is slightly favored here for the Lizards, as their swarm, just a swarm of reptiles, giving the reptiles elbow here to the just the lower number of Wood Elves. These Eternal Guard not in a good situation against Saurus. And the Wood Elves are kiting backward, but unlike Way Watchers, I do not believe Glade Guard have the 360 shooting. So they have to turn and shoot. So they can't run and shoot as effectively as like Way Watchers can. And the Wild Hunters of Kurnus, all 7 of them are pretty much the last bastion of defense here. We, of course, have the Glade Guard fighting, the Glade Lord, as well as the Spellsinger of Life. But there's just so many Skinks. Like, I don't think he can deal with the numbers. Like, there's just, and the Chameleons were so effective. Though they did get caught, it forced the Wood Elves into so many awkward engagements. You can see here that those War Dancers chased, you see these War Dancers in the distance up here, guys. They actually chased down the Skinks and got killed and just kited. Like, so many little micro victories there for the Lizards. And it looks like that probably will be game 1, as I don't imagine that, the Wood Elves are going to be able to come back. I mean, the Glade Lord's an okay combatant, but, like, she's going to be just straight up dragged down by hordes of Skinks. And that's game 1. That is game 1. Well played. Drycha is mad at literally everyone. Yes, and if some of our mods in chat could drop a link to the Discords, this is our community Discord as well as our tournament Discord, that would be much appreciated. And now we will go ahead and update it. So that's going to be 1 victory for Imperator here in the finals. which again is a best of 5. So very well played. I like Zablaski's build for sure. But it just, like the skink numbers, like the chameleons are a counter against war dancers. They're really good against missiles. Like the chameleon skinks were the deciding factor there for sure. So now let's go ahead and go to Troll Country for our next map. We'll put these fine gentlemen on a bit of a smaller map, see what they decide to do. And Troll Country. We'll do Tower of Hoth next, I think. Zablaski says, should have stayed back, shot you a bit, and did not engage. But 3 skinks is too good of a bait, says Zablaski. Yeah, those skinks were a juicy bait, and the ambush was really nice from Imperator, having the lizards in the forest there ready to strike against the wild hunters of Kurnus. Troll Country. We'll do it to it. We will do it to it indeed. It was a good game. It was a really good game. It is a tricky one, a tricky matchup there. The chameleons were just trolls in the night. Imperator Palpatine still undefeated, I know. Imperator Palpatine, I love that. We also have a donation coming in from Sold13R1. He says, are you not entertained? Tossed the man some coins. Thank you so much for the 5, and yeah, hopefully you guys are entertained. I'll be here, not all day. I'll be here all day. I'll be here for probably another 30 or 40 minutes. No, it wasn't actually. It was a spam call. I've been getting spam calls throughout the day. I don't even know. One sec, guys. Looks like we're all good. Just changing some settings here. And currently it's 1-0 here. Zablaski on the ropes. So what do we have here? So Zablaski picked Lizardmen? He picks Lizardmen and he bans Tomb Kings. Okay, so we're getting more lizards. It was so funny because weeks ago there was people who were just like, oh, we never get lizards on this stream. Nobody plays Lizardmen except like Felcon, but now we're just getting them nonstop. So hopefully you guys are getting your fix. Yeah. War Dancers are pretty good at buzzsawing through light infantry, so things that have like low armor values, they trade pretty effectively against. And what also you have to take into account about War Dancers is like, aside from that, yeah, they're squishy, they may lose head-up fights, but they're very fast. They have like incredible speed. I think it's in the 40s. So you can maneuver really well with them, and like, you know, that's kind of like the whole Wood Elf thing, right? Yeah. So War Dancer is very, very quick. One of my dogs is barking, so I'm going to make sure there's no one at the door trundling, and I'll be right back. I am back, and it looks like we're going to have Dark Elves versus Lizards. Another matchup of top-tier factions, to say the least. And we'll see what's going on. Yeah, those little chameleons are very, very good against Wood Elves. So much kite. Such a nuisance. So they're deciding on the matchup here. Well, honestly, I can handle Skaven much easier than Scourge Runners, says Zablaski. Scourge Runner Chariots, of course, a powerhouse of a unit. We'll see who shall qualify here. Those things are very slippery. Yeah, Scourge Runners are a very obnoxious unit to deal with. Very good against Lizards, too, because dual-purpose threat. Very, very good at riding over infantry, Saurus and Skinks, and on top of that, they can wreck the large threats with their Scourge Bolts. So, Yeah, very, very good against lizards. But again, it's on Imperator. He has the counter pick here. And the Tomb Kings were banned. Honestly, if I were Zablasky, I'd probably rather... I mean, if it were me playing, I'd rather fight Tomb Kings than Dark Elves. Just Scourge Runners are very tough. At least with Tomb Kings, you know, if you bring some like Carnosaurs and things like that, you can fight their constructs. And Windblast can Shrek your Tomb King infantry pretty well. You know who's really good against Dark Elves, though, is actually the freaking Tomb Kings. Tomb Kings who shop you Grapos are very, very good against Scourge Runners. You can bring a Wild Bone Giant as well if you want to make them pay the bone toll. And yeah, players are basically just picking their armies now. It's a pretty small map, though, guys. This is a close quarters one, so it's not going to be like a big epic kite of any sort. Rather, it's going to be a fisticuffs fight. I know, Erlen, we're doing work today, man. We're having some fun. Alrighty. Wookie, keep watching. Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, I usually feed our dogs wet food. We buy it from the store. We buy them this like gourmet wet food, essentially. And today I had to feed them dry food until I can get to the store. So I think they're throwing a revolt in the living room right now. Those dogs are quite grumpy. Wookiee's keeping things in line, though. Bone Giants are still decent. You know, they're okay. I think they're quite good against Skaven. They have some niche applications against like High Elves. So yeah, they're not bad. All right, so Imperator says, okay, ready? Looks like he is good to go, so I'll go ahead and throw the ready up. What was the count at the faction stream? The Faction War tournament was like 2,500 was our peak, I think, which is pretty good for... I think it's the most I've ever had. Like, we had an early access tournament once get like 2,100. The first ever chosen had like 2,100. My channel was much smaller back then, but yeah, I think that was the record actually on the channel. Yeah, I was really surprised to see that, but it's a fun format. I wonder why like like almost twice as many people showed up to the Faction War compared to regular ECLs. Like, what is it? For you guys, like, what is it that makes that more fun than a regular tournament? Is it the fact that, and even if I can't read your chat now, perhaps leave a comment or on the stream afterwards if you guys are watching this back. Like, what is it about the Faction War? Is it the fact that it's like you can get behind something, like there's a single faction you can root for, there's a player you can root for, it becomes more of a kind of a spectator thing? Or is it just kind of like it's more quick, there's like more dynamic games going on because you're bouncing between opponents quicker? Like, I'm really curious about that because it's a lot. Like, you know, I see YouTubers who have like, less subscribers than me, get really, really good views. And then I see YouTubers who are like really big, get like, only like 90 to 150 viewers on their streams. So it's like, yeah, it's quite a complex thing. Mac, greetings from Poland. You say, Cześć, my friend. Jak się masz? I hope you are doing bardzo dobrze. I used to live in San Jose, California, but now I live in Los Angeles, yeah. At my old job. It was on the weekend too, but even like my weekend ECL streams might get up to like 1,300, 1,400, 1,500 tops. But like the Faction War just skyrocketed. It's easier to just root for a faction than a player. It's just interesting to root for your favorite faction. Yeah, the variety part. Okay, yeah. And remember, guys, I'll read the feedback. I'm going to go back and watch this part of the stream again to see what you guys are saying. So I'm just curious. So I can tailor my content better for you guys. And there is a really good narrative too. Yeah, cheering for like your faction. All right, guys. And now we're on to the match. I'll be back to read your feedback. I really appreciate it. Yeah, the announcement I think really helped too, giving people a heads up so they could like plan for it. That's a really good point. So guys, Imperator holding no punches. He knows that he's trying to qualify for this grand final. He's coming for that cheddar here. And he does, of course, have the dreaded quad Scourge Runner Chariot. So he's got 4 of those guys. On top of that, 2 Coldwood Knights here. A fair amount of Dread Spears here in the front line. Malekith the Witch King up in the sky. Slaanesh Harvesters, Doomfire Warlocks on the flanks. But basically, he's just going to be like, deal with these Scourge Runners. Have some fun while Malekith drops fat, juicy Soul Stealers. Oh, he doesn't have Soul Stealer. What is going on? Chillwind and Mark of Pain. Interesting. You almost always see Soul Stealer. All right. Well, this is going to change things. So the one time we did see the Scourge Runners have trouble was when somebody brought the double Stegodon mounts with the Ballistas. But here we have, what do we have? We have Saurus Warriors with shields, skinks, double laser lizard, Lord Mazdamundi, of course, with the Sunburst standard, I would imagine, to give them missile resist. So basically, he's going to be trying to snipe out these Scourge Runner chariots. In the back, he does have some Cold Spear Riders, 2 Pterodon Riders with Fire Leech Bolus, which actually are pretty good against light infantry. And yeah, that's cool. This is a good army. Actually, 4 of those. Wow, 4 Pterodon Riders. All right. Imperator says, I wanted to go for a more balanced build, but you are practically begging for this build. Says Imperator. That's pretty funny. So he probably knows how Zablasky plays. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I think 4 Scourge Runners are allowed. I'd have to minimize and double check the rules, but I mean, both these players are, I would imagine I've read the rules. I'll double check. And if it's not, then we can, oh, they've already started. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. All right, guys, so the battle's underway here. You can see the Bastiladons with the solar engines shooting downtown, but immediately switching their sights onto the Scourge Runner chariots, which are going to be taking some shots down here. Getting some nice damage against the Pterodons, but, you know, if he's able to like screen those out with skinks and things like that. But the thing is he needs some mass to stay in front of the Scourge Runner chariots to make sure those guys can't really penetrate into the back line. So here comes the battle. Scourge Runner still getting zapped. They haven't lost any models yet, but those laser dinos probably will eventually be able to do some good damage. But in the meantime, guys, check this out. Zablasky getting some beautiful value here. He's able to just wreck these Dread Spears. So, I mean, he's probably going to be able to crump the Dark Elves as it pertains to the mainline fight, but he needs to make sure that he has some mass to keep those chariots from just bull rushing through his infantry and just going ham. Now, Mazdamundi does have nets of Amnitok, very, very good here. Looks like he is going to be dropping an overcasted net, which does lock those guys down, and then a counter charge is going to be coming in from the Cold Spear Riders, which is going to be very good while the laser dinos are shooting. So this is actually a really, really nice play, and there's no Soul Stealer to follow up. Banishment coming down as well, which is going to be tearing through some of the cav units. Scourge Runner chariots are on the ropes, but what Zablasky needs to do is grab these Saurus over here and bring them in to help out. Like, he needs more stuff here in this engagement. So one of the Scourge Runners is pretty much crumpled down. The Dark Elf infantry across the lines taking a lot of damage here from the Pterodon Riders up in the sky, which is quite good. But the other 2 Scourge Runner chariots are able to push in, and now Zablasky, he's going to need some support here. But guys, nice pick so far. I mean, he breaks one Scourge Runner, and the other one has taken some substantial damage, to say the least. And the laser dinos are still shooting in. Infantry fight very, very heavily favored for the lizards at this point in the battle. So this is a good tactic here by Imperator, though. If you can't win the infantry fight, just run and fight in the areas that you can win. Dark Elves, of course, a very mobile faction and can get away with that. Now, the laser dinos are still operational, fully armed and operational laser dinos. He needs to make sure to get some Pterodon Riders and chase off those Scourge Runners, and you can see here Zablasky is doing that. So he's chasing off those Scourge Runners. The Slaanesha's Harvesters are very, very beat up, and currently I would say the battle's going very well for the Lizards. However, if this laser dino position gets compromised, that's going to be pretty hard to stop the other Scourge Runners. Another laser shot getting in there doing some work. Bastiladon does charge into the Doomfire Warlocks, but he needs some support back here to peel these guys off. If the laser dinos are just stuck in combat this whole time, it's going to be pretty disastrous for sure. But here we have the Fire Leech Bolas still throwing in, and they are able to break off the Slaanesha's Harvesters. Look at that. Just look at it. Great stuff right there. And I wonder what he's going to do with the Pterodons next. They have pretty good mass as well. And oh no, he made the mistake of letting one of his Scourge Runners come back. So that was a bit of a misplay there, but looks like he's going to be going back in now with the other 2 guys to shut them down. Balance power is very, very even at this point. If anything, yeah, it's too even to call. I wouldn't say anybody's in a super commanding position. Malekith is going for the Toad, and it looks like he's also trying to shut down this Bastiladon with the Solar Engine, which is now buffed by Harmonic Convergence. There needs to be some Saurus back here or something else to kind of secure this position. There are some Skinks fighting. This Bastiladon, of course, does get a Terror Route on top of them. And up at the sky here, we do have the Pterodon Riders. I mean, tearing into these forces and doing really good work against the Dark Elf infantry, but just one group of the cap wasn't enough to stop the chariots in melee. And now you can see the Scourge Runners are basically just ransacking through the front line and doing so much damage here against the Saurus Warriors and some other things like that. Now the bounce for the first time is going in the favor of the Dark Elves. The Pterodon Riders have done good work, but the Bastiladons were a good answer against Scourge Runners. But as soon as they get compromised here, yeah, it's rough. Like, he doesn't have the elements to kind of support those guys. And the Scourge Runners are just so good, doing so much damage against the infantry as well. It's just brutal, for sure. Now up in the sky, as a matter of fact, before I forget, one of the closest times, the best times I've seen against the Scourge Runners, I think it was a double Stegodon build with the Ballistas. It was like Skink Chiefs on Stegodons or Ancient, I can't remember what it was, but they were actually pretty effective against those things. But yeah, it was just, he couldn't protect those. And there was nothing to stop Malekith, really. Like, if you look at Zablasky's build, what there can deal with Malekith? Like, nothing. You have the Coldland Riders, but they have their hands full with 4 Scourge Runners and 2 Coldland Knights. And I mean, the Flying Air Force was cool. I think maybe cutting 2 of the Pterodons would have been fine. He needed something to stop Malekith. Maybe like you cut those 2 and you cut 1 Saurus, and then you get like a Scar Veteran on a Carnosaur. And with healing, it can probably survive the Scourge Hunters, and it also gives you something that can fight off Malekith. Because like this army had nothing to deal with Malekith, I feel. It had good answers for the Scourge Hunters and did some good damage there, but at the end it was just too much. All right. So here, let us go ahead and update the score, 2-0. And we have a donation coming in from Joachim Johansson. He says, why isn't Scourge Hunter ROR used more? Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's a little expensive. Maybe it's a little expensive. But thank you so much for that generous donation, Joachim. Really appreciate it. The Scourge Hunter ROR is pretty good, too. It actually has poison and things like that. Yeah, it's hard to stop. It's hard to stop. So next, guys, we'll go to the... I love Ogham Shard as a map, but it's very, very... We'll do the Storm Demon. Imperator says, yeah, they're terrible. He says, yeah, they're terrible, like Arcan on release bad. We're going to do... Actually, we'll do Tower of Hoth. Hold on. One sec here. No, hold on. We're still switching, buddy. We're still switching, my friend. The Tower of Hoth is just a much better map. Tower of Hoth. All right, now the players are going to do their picks and bans. Zablaski has the opportunity to bring 4 of those as well. Ruben. So Ruben, thank you so much for the donation. How would I say your last name? Bunskolke? Did I get that right? Always glad to see Gary and George Laser Boys. I agree. I agree indeed. And thank you so much for the donation, Ruben. Hopefully I got your last name right. And yeah, Laser Boys, they did good. They did good, but you know, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to hold firm. And ODM has some really mean players for sure. They're an incredibly skilled clan. And we have a donation coming in from Alden. Oh man, that's a tough name. Vafthrundir? Vafthrundir. Hopefully I got that right. Alden. The thought of Wookiee haggardly rebelling in your living room over kibble brings a grin to my face. What a beautiful creature. Love the content. Keep up the great work. Dude, thank you for the 50. That's very, very generous. And yeah, there's a rebellion. Wookiee is not the one who's super rebellious. He's kind of like... So thank you again, man. That's really generous of you. And Wookiee is more like Oscar the Grouch. You know, he'll just eat the trash. Whatever you throw in front of Wookiee, he'll just like lay in the trash and eat amongst it. But our other dog, Gooby, or Rue, as Anna calls her, she's like more of a diva for sure. All right, guys. So we're on Tower of Hoth, and hey, those of you guys in chat who wanted to see High Elves, Imperator coming in with a rock hard High Elf pick. So he's going High Elves and he's banning Chaos, and now Zablaski is on the pick. Perhaps we'll see Wood Elves. Although Zablaski, did you play Wood Elves already? My brain's just going. I can't remember. So if Imperator wins this, he sweeps the series 3-0, and that will be it. That'll be all she wrote. $50 to feed the Wookiee. Thank you so much. We're doing it. We're doing it to it. Shidoku is here. He says he's the best ODM member. And here we go. Here we go indeed. Zablaski is going Tomb King, so we got the Bone Daddies versus the High Elves. Now, I would say this is a matchup that's probably Tomb King favored. A little bit, ever so slightly. But again, High Elves are like one of those weird specialist factions that in the hands of a really good High Elf player, they can beat anyone, kind of. Zablaski says he's ready when you are! Exclamation point, smiley face. He is good to go. Ever the sportsman, even in the face of adversity. That's one of the hardest things, of course, to keep your poise after taking some hard fights for sure. And we'll see how this goes. Of course, the winner of this series will be going on to join some fierce competition for the grand finals. I see Falcon here in chat. Of course, Falcon has qualified. I believe he qualified in week 2. We have Talaxlan Soothsayer as well. A-Move Hacker. The Flying Taco. It's going to be a fierce final, to say the least. An absolutely fierce final. Falcon says the comeback is coming, though. You know? You have a little faith. You got to believe. Imperator's main faction, I'm not sure. I'd have to ask him. I think he really likes Empire. Every time I played against him, he's playing Empire, but I don't know. I haven't played him in a tournament. I've only played Imperator on ladder, so I'm not sure what his favorite is. So Zablasky is ready. Imperator is probably going to come in with some Flamespire Phoenixes. I love those units against Tomb Kings. Great AP against the Constructs. The bombardment runs against the Tomb Guard is really effective. They can snipe Lords really well. They bring a lot to the battlefield. And yes, there is a Haggard Rebellion in the living room with the dogs. Those little trolls are the end of me. Thankfully, I work from home, though. Because Anna has a full-time job now, so I'm here alone for most of the day. So yeah, I have to take care of the beasts. The dread beasts themselves. What is that? Huh. Alright guys, loading in here. Will the ECL finals have a dreaded quad bloat? I don't know. Hey, Nutty98, thank you for those really kind words. It depends. Maybe if Romulan Dog decides to qualify and get in here and play, I'm sure Romulan would bring the quad bloat and win with it, as he did in the faction war. Absolute lunacy. For anyone who didn't see that, Romulan Dog in our faction war tournament against like a top tier greenskin player brought 4 bloated corpses and was actually able to pull out a victory, which was just, it was nuts. It was a very legendary moment. And I did cast the game separately, so it'll be going up on the channel soon. I just got to render it and trim the beginning and the end and all that stuff. So this is it, guys. Zablasky is on the ropes, but of course he's a very seasoned, skilled tournament player, as is Imperator. However, Zablasky can certainly claw his way back into the series with a nice win here with the Tomb Kings, because you also have to remember, guys, this is best of 5. So sometimes if you can drag these players out to the game 5, they might run out of their best factions and might have to plan off factions, which they're not as comfortable in. So sometimes you do see these big swings in these series like this. Oh man, Mr. Sauce, favorite piece of Warhammer lore? I'd have to think about that, dude. Usually anything with Karl Franz or the dwarves gets me going. I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look here at the forces of the Tomb Kings. Front line's going to be a rock hard Tomb King or a Tomb Guard line. So Tomb Guard, of course, very good against spearmen and things like that. On top of that, a couple spears in the back. We do have DJ Kotep. Now, Kotep is not a meme anymore. Casket of Souls are pretty good. The Lich Staff is very powerful as well. And he has good arcs of fire. So like what's cool about Kotep is against like bolt throwers, he could like hide behind things and shoot up and over because the casket has such insane arcs of fire. So the dreaded double casket from Zablasky, 2 of them. He's got Ushapti Grapos, Chosen of the Gods, Eyes of the Desert, the Sepulchral Stalkers, and I believe he had another group of Stalkers as well. So 2 Stalkers, 2 Caskets, Ushapti Grapos, Tomb Guard, and Spears in the back. Awesome build. Now it seems like Imperator may have been expecting this, so to counter the double casket, he brought the double Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, perhaps. So 2 of those guys, 2 groups of the Sisters of Avalorn, frontline of Spears. In the back, he does also have Silver Helms. I believe he has a Noble on horseback for anti-large, Teclis, and another Noble on horseback, which is really good. The Noble Goon Squad in conjunction with Teclis is very powerful because Teclis can net things down and allow the Nobles to get that huge anti-large charge on those guys and really put some hurt on them. So, yeah. Here we go, guys. Nice build from both players. I mean, they both have answers for one another. Now, the Caskets have better range than the Eagle Claws, so the Caskets should be a little bit further back to make sure they're not in a range and they can get the first shots off. Now, as far as the Caskets go, you have to make a tough decision here. Do you use your Caskets to shoot the Sisters or to shut down the Bolt Throwers, therefore saving the Casket? I think the right choice here is actually finishing off the Sisters of Avalorn, just focusing them with both Caskets, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see what he decides to do for sure. Tomb Guard will trade well here. Tomb Guard will be durable against Sisters because of their silver shields, and they'll also beat the Spearmen. If the Sepulchral Stalkers are used well, they should be able to screen out the Silver Helm play. So, I mean, honestly, Zablasky has some really good tools here, as does Imperator. But again, a lot of it's going to come down to control. The hardest thing, I think, for Zablasky's army is going to be dealing with those Nobles. He doesn't have too many things that are super good against them. Granted, the Eyes of the Desert and the Stalkers are, but we'll see how it goes. So the battle's underway here. Caskets are shooting, and you can see the Bolt Throwers are being used to go after the Chosen of the Gods, who I would imagine are going to get protection. Oh, Ra. But Tra's Incantation of Righteous Smiting, but unfortunately, a little bit out of position there, so Sisters are going to put some hammer time on those guys. And it looks like the Casket of Souls are indeed going after the Bolt Throwers, which I do think is a mistake. I think going after the Sisters is a better choice. You're going to immediately get huge value here. I know he's trying to protect the Caskets, but like, it's going to take a while to break these things off. Granted, he's going for it. We'll see. I mean, maybe he will. Looks like he does some good damage, but like, imagine had that damage been done to a Sister of Avalorn here. So back in the mainline fight, Nobles and Teclis are going in. They do get a net here on the Chosen of the Gods, and we do have the Sepulchral Stalkers crashing in from both sides. So here they come. A little bit dangerous for your boy Teclis because currently his abilities are probably on cooldown, and it looks like he is now switching on to the Sisters. No, he's still going after that one artillery piece, which again I feel like is a bit of a overkill, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe it'll pay off. So the Chosen of the Gods here. Oh my god, Teclis getting nuked! These snakes here, the Eyes of the Desert, are just putting him in a can because they're getting shot from both sides. And guys, Teclis is down for the count. So Zablaski with a masterful snipe is able to get Teclis with the crossfire from both of the Sepulchral Stalkers. Now, he really needs to capitalize on this and make sure Teclis doesn't come back, but I don't think he's going to be able to. It looks like the Silver Helms and the other troops are being committed to combat to make sure that Teclis is going to be able to stabilize. In the meantime, we have a bunch of the Silver Helms charging in. Some spears are going to rush in to try and help the Chosen of the Gods. Caskets are pretty well protected, and now I would imagine they're going to shoot at the Sister. So here comes the volleys. Brutal stuff right there, getting some huge damage. And Teclis is in the danger zone, guys, but he's probably going to come back. And if he does, Teclis probably has the Potion of Croy, so he can heal himself, and now he's back online. So at this point, Imperator knows the Caskets are going to start wrecking his Sisters pretty hard. That's pretty funny. And he's basically going to be sending in the Silver Helms. It looks like there is going to be some magic coming in from Teclis. This is actually the Fiery Convocation. It's a bound spell from Teclis. Oh, and Teclis gets broken off by the Sepulchral Stalkers again. Oh, nice dodge right there. Zablaski is able to dodge that shot. Beautiful stuff. And now he's going to be pulling in the Skeleton Spearmen to defend Kotep once again. So both caskets are operational, these armed, fully operational casket stations. And Zablaski is pulling ahead in this game, guys. The High Elves are kind of getting burnt down here. The sniping of Teclis in the beginning was a huge clutch play, but it looks like Teclis, is he going to come back? Is he going to stabilize here? He's on the edge of the map. One more volley here from the Stalkers' ranged attacks probably would be enough, but it looks like Teclis is going to stabilize. And at this point, the Stalkers should probably just turn and fight the Silver Helms because running is not going to do them any good. So just turn around and fight would be my 2 cents. Now back in the main battle, the Tomb Guard, of course, winning this fight. Sisters getting completely crumped here by the focus fire from those caskets. You can see here these Spearmen having a bit of an unfortunate fight against the Skeleton Spearmen. And yeah, the Sister is basically just being chased down by Tomb Guard. In the back line, it's going well. There is a Noble doing a very good job here against the Eyes of the Desert, but they do have the Cursed Blades, which means they're going to be hitting quite a bit harder. Up on the high ground, those Sepulchral Stalkers are able to fend off the Silver Helms, but Teclis is back, and he means business, guys. And Imperator is kind of pulling this game back a little bit. It's very, very close here, but I would say it's still very favored for the Tomb Kings at this point. But still, I mean, Imperator can pull this game back if he's able to get the Bolt Throwers back online, finish off the Stalkers, and then get the Nobles to kind of goon out the Caskets. But a Fiery Convocation, for example, would be a really good way back in because it would tear through these skeletons. Casket of Souls being sent to this high ground engagement, bombarding against these guys. But it looks like just the overwhelming numbers of Silver Helms are going to be able to finish off the Sepulchral Stalkers, who are debuffed by Enfeebling Foe as well. Back in the main fight, we got Skeleton Spears just kind of standing on top of the caskets, just saying, come at me, bro. Come have some of this fun right here. And perhaps Teclis will oblige. He might be charging into combat, at which point he's going to use a Fiery Convocation on top of himself. We'll see. Hard to say. High Elf Spearmen, of course, losing against Tomb Guard across the lines. Skeleton Spears here having a bit of a wet noodle contest. And this is actually a little bit troublesome here for Imperator. The fact that these Tomb Guard were able to make it back this far. They won't catch the High Elf Artillery crew, but at the very least they can sit back here and make sure that these Bolt Throwers don't shoot and waste a lot of the ammunition. So back here, this is the really kind of a pitched battle. We have Teclis coming in, looking to try and circumvent the defenses of these Skeleton Spears, but the Skeleton Spears are just such a tar pit to get through, and caskets are kind of weird. They can shoot very well even when they're standing amongst infantry. They have great arcs of fire, so it looks like Imperator is going to be going in for an Alpha Strike, sending in a lot of resources. Ooh, Casket of Soul, where is it going? It's going after those High Elf Spearmen right there, but the Skeleton Spear is holding firm. Oh no, this is really rough! This could lose Zablaski the game. If Kotep gets caught and gooned out here, his Skeleton Spears went a little bit too far, and Kotep's in the danger zone. He is large on that casket, and the anti-large, they're very strong. Oh, and a Fiery Convocation's coming in. This is the way Imperator gets back in the game. He was totally on the ropes here. But the Fiery Convocation doing some good damage against the Spears, but man, Kotep needs some help. He needs to send Tomb Guard back there. He needs to send everything he can to try and stabilize Kotep, because losing Kotep here is an absolute disaster. So Kotep here is crumbling. Bounce of Power is still Tomb King favored, but not for long with Kotep going down. And he is down for the count, so the Nobles and Teclis are able to succeed in gooning out that casket that happened to be rode by the mighty Kotep. So let's see what they're saying to one another here. They're just saying, good luck, have fun. All that good stuff. Now, there still is a metric ton of Tomb Guard and Skeleton Spears, and Teclis' Goon Squad here is a little bit beat up. Teclis is almost at a healing cap himself. And if you look around the battlefield, there's many variables that are not going super well here for the High Elf. Sisters of Avalorn being chased, another nice bombardment right there, but it looks like he's just going to be bull rushing through these forces. Now, the Ushapti summon here is going to be very nice. If the Ushapti summon are able to pin these guys in, that could perhaps be something that could win Zablaski the game. So we'll see how quickly Imperator responds. It looks like he's committing to the fight, but Teclis is a little bit trapped up. Zablaski needs to get these guys and just surge in right now. The Ushabti, of course, will bring some extra AP, which will be very helpful here. And if they are able to goon out Teclis, that would be very nice. Imperator does also respond using an Enfeebling Foe right here to put the melee attack of the Ushabti down to 0 to make sure he doesn't take too much damage here. But of course, the Skeleton Spears with their steady damage are putting some hurt on this formation. And it looks like some Tomb Guard are coming back as well. The problem is, though, is like, if this battle goes bad for the Tomb Kings back in the center mass here, oh man, one Bolt Thrower is back online, and the other one's coming back online as well. And Imperator has gotten the other one back. So now both Bolt Throwers are back online as well, guys. And I think the High Elves are going to slowly pull this game back. The fact that he was able to run away with his crews, get back, come back online, man. And the Tomb Kings didn't really have anything to deal with, like, the elite characters. They had a ton of stuff to kill archers and infantry, but they had nothing really to kill nobles. Like, Sepulchral Stalkers, I guess, did a good job. But yeah, I guess they just kind of got pulled apart. So maybe he did have answers, but they just got pulled apart, yeah. So I rescind my statement. He did have answers against the characters, but they just kind of got taken out. Nonetheless, Ushabti Summon doing its thing here. We do have the nobles as well. We have Tomb Guard coming back here. And of course, the Tomb Guard here are doing a good job. Sisters being chased to the edge of the map. And this group of 77 here are going to be getting in this engagement. And the Ushabti Summon will be disappearing, trying to get one last charge on Teclis, who, as a matter of fact, might take this charge like a champ. 940. Oh, he's down to 940. Are the Tomb Kings going to be able to get some punch on him? He's melee defense holding relatively firm here, and the Summon disappears before he takes too much damage. And now we have the AoE fire coming in from the Bolt Throwers from Imperator, which is just such good value against his blob of skeletons. They're going to be having a really bad time here. Man, guys, I have to say, that is some really good high elf play. Like, just all the micro adjustments of, like, keeping your artillery alive in the late game, getting the good gooning attempts as soon as there's an opening. That is impressive stuff. So here we have Skeleton Spears fighting this Noble. The Noble's going to be able to get away, though. High elves have plenty of archers around the... Not archers, plenty of spearmen loose around the map. A couple of the sisters here unleashing volleys into these forces. It's still a close game, though. Like, the Tomb Guard are going to be tough to take down. There's not much here that's good against Tomb Guard. The High Elves, of course, have to be attacking, and they don't have a problem with that because they have ammo, they have a Bolt Thrower here. These guys are probably going to have to run again, I would imagine. But, oh no, is this Bolt Thrower crew going to get caught? Is Imperator going to slip up in the micro and lose this unit? It looks like he might, as the Tomb Guard are able to get the full charge here. These Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower crews are going to start taking some heavy damage from the combat stats of those Tomb Guard in melee. Over here, Sister's still shooting here. We have the fight of fights as we have some Skeleton Spearmen fighting. Tomb Guard are going to be surging in to engage against some of these units. And, I mean, Zablaski could still win this. The Tomb Guard are very meaty. The Sisters on the far side of the map have gotten chased off, so it looks like that group of archers is going to be finished, and a group of 74 units will be coming back. Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower is going to be running here, obviously, so a little bit of patty cake as the other ones come back online and shooting. That, of course, is the advantage of having a more mobile army, is that you can kind of pull your opponent apart like this. Tomb Guard fighting in combat, and yeah, the Spearmen are just grinding. Teclis actually took a lot of damage there. If you look, you can see Teclis has 655, so he did take about 300 damage since last we looked. And a big old juicy regrowth on that Noble there is going to be incredibly valuable. But Tomb Guard, you know, probably going to be able to push back these Spearmen, perhaps. Maybe chip some HP off this Noble. Who knows? But I certainly think at this point, with the variables as they are, with the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers being able to kind of pull things apart, I think that Zablaski's in a little bit of trouble. I think his caskets being taken out was a little bit too much. And, you know, the Tomb Guard and company... yeah, I don't know. Like, they're not going to be able to stop everything because now this crew is just going to run here and the other one's going to come back online. Yeah, you can see right there Imperator drops it and just runs for the hills, which is really smart. There are two groups of Tomb Guard here, though. One of them is going to be fighting that Noble. This other group of Tomb Guard is actually grinding these fight out like absolute champions. Up to 83 kills right now, but this Noble is very tanky. 100 armor on the Nobles. So, you know, Tomb Guard don't have the best AP values, therefore it is going to be a bit of a tough fight for those guys. Man, this is insanely skill play from both these players here. Like, the fact that Imperator was able to come back after basically losing Teclis, like almost just getting gooned in the beginning and like losing all of his elite units, just super impressive play. So here you have the Tomb Guard. At this point, you might as well just go fight. Like, chasing things isn't going to help you. Another group of Tomb Guard in the distance is coming back. Realm of Souls is all used up, so there's not going to be any more Ushabti summons, but basically I think just getting your stuff, all of Zablaski's Tomb Guard and making a last stand in this area is his best bet. Because then at least he's close enough to shut down the Bolt Throwers if he just wants to kind of sally over there and kind of do that. If we look here, Tomb Guard are still fighting, 9 leadership, but still 2,400 HP. The High Elf Spearmen are being worn down, and here these Tomb Guard are actually able to break off the Spearmen, put a little bit of damage on the Noble, but for the most part, just kite them, just let them crumble. You don't need to fight that. And of course, Imperator is doing exactly that. Right here, we do have the Tomb Guard. 77 of these bad boys scooting into combat here, fighting against these spearmen. But the nobles, I think, are going to be too much to take. I think they're going to be too strong. The nobles, of course, can get some healing from Teclis, depending on the Winds of Magic situation. And these Tomb Guard are going to be trying to go over here and fight against these Heil spearmen, who are going to be meeting them in combat. Tomb Guard, of course, will win this battle very handily. I've always found it very funny that the Tomb Guard like jump when they're charging, you know? I feel like they just wouldn't do that. But it's obviously the base charging animation. So, Tomb Guard surging over here to shut down the Bolt Thrower once again. So the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower is going to be shut down by the Tomb Guard. But the Bounce Power is just getting closer and closer to army losses for the Tomb Kings. Is basically they just have, but they just have like some beat up infantry left. And there's 2 very powerful characters left, plus the Lord. Oh, and look at this. Imperator brought the Sword of Teclis. So Teclis actually becomes a pretty decent combatant when you pop this. 76 and 480, I think is what I saw. 490. Yeah, he becomes like a beast against light armor. So suddenly Teclis has got his Pimp Cane out, and he's going to work against these guys. But Tomb Guard surge in, force back Teclis. And the other Tomb Guard obviously can't... These Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers are like the gingerbread man. Just like you straight up like, they just run and cackle and you just can't chase them. The other Tomb Guard here are able to get their paws on this Bolt Thrower crew, might be able to take out a few models there. These Tomb Guard in the meantime are going to be grinding it out. Sisters of Averlorn sent into melee combat as well. The thing is though, is like, Imperator has to always be attacking, right? So like, maybe if the Tomb Guard can kill all the spears and it's only single entities, but I feel like the 2 nobles plus Teclis could beat all this stuff. Like just by sitting in combat. Like even without charging or anything like that, I feel like they would still win that. Oh, that's nice right there. Look at that. So right here, Imperator casts an Enfeebling Foe on Zablaski's Tomb Guard here, which is really going to make them very weak. 8 and 7 for 17 for their combat stats, and that thing has a long, long duration. Now, a lot of the Spearmen are breaking. You can see Spearmen breaking off, charging back in. A lot of, High Elf troops are kind of buckling. There are some Spearmen coming back in here, and look at this. The Gingerbread Man, once again, the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower crew is just lingering in the shadows. This is just... Teclis is going ham. And of course, the nobles sitting in combat here. I think they... Tomb Guard are such a tanky unit to work through. Teclis dropping a regrowth, I think? Oh, that's brutal. That regrowth might actually trigger army losses. Even though, look at this. The Spearmen are broken, guys. The Bolt Thrower crews are here. The other one's coming back in. We got Spearmen coming back in. Of course, they have an attack order, so they are pushing their way in here. Teclis is pulling back here. Nobles are going to be pulling back into combat. Obviously, you don't want to sit and fight Tomb Guard if you don't have to. Teclis is at... What is he at? 605. Look at him. He's just got his like sword here. He's just like, oh man. Teclis has seen some. He's seen some shit. This battle has been very, very tough for him, and that's army losses. So guys, what an insane game. That was insane. Fully decked out Teclis. So I was about to say Xiphos because of ODM. I was like, Xiphos is qualified. I'm sure he will. There's plenty of ECLs left. Imperator is going to be our qualifier for today. So he is going to be going on to the grand finals of ECL Season 4 with a 3-0 victory there. But Zablaski almost taking that game. It was very, very looking good for the Tomb Kings there. But he didn't have... Yeah, I mean, he did have the tools, but alas, the Sepulchral Stalkers fell. And when that happened, the nobles were pretty much just free to go ham. So let us go ahead, go to the letter here, and add Imperator's name to the list of contenders for the grand finals. So, of course, he'll be up against Talaxon, Soothsayer, Amove Hacker, Flying Taco, and Felcon. And, of course, we have 3 more qualifiers. And here we go. Man, the Bolt Thrower Gingerbread Men just causing so many problems. That was just an insane game. So Imperator says, GG's, man. I'm off to bed, and I imagine you too. Anytime. Well played. That was an amazing game. Great play by both players. Zablaski and Imperator played just some tight games tonight. And also, it looks like we have a new channel sponsor coming in. We got Charles Do It. Oh, your last name is Do It. That's awesome. Congrats, man. And thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. And yeah, that was quite a run. The grand final is going to be pretty serious for sure. It's going to be really, really serious. Imperator had a flawless run today, not dropping a single game. And then we have Wicked D in chat saying Zablaski. He thinks Zablaski was expecting Phoenix Guard. Perhaps so. Caskets are very good against those. Yeah. That was crazy, guys. That was a wild game, to say the least. So, again, to close things out, big congratulations to Imperator for qualifying today. Tore through the competition. Absolute powerhouse of a player. And now he's going to be meeting some serious contenders in the grand finals. And he'll also be winning a $25 gift card, which is cool. A Steam gift card. Looks like we have another sponsor from Joachim Johansson. Thank you. Very cool way to close out the stream. Really appreciate it, man. But yeah, just like some thought on that game. Like, yeah, man. Like so many things were going bad for the High Elves. So many things. Like Teclis getting gooned, the Bolt Thrower getting gooned, the Sisters being taken out. Like it just looked like an absolute disaster. But the Nobles really carried that game. The Nobles really, really carried that. Yeah, it was really good. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining today. And special thanks to the mods for fending off the Slanesh bots. As always, you guys are just aces. Couldn't do it without you guys. And also, let's go through the donations. So we have new members, Joachim Johansson, Charles Dewitt. Then we have Vaft Threndir Alden with a fat 50. Ruben Bunskok with a tenner. Thank you so much. Joachim Johansson with 100 SEK. Soldier 13 R1, thank you for the 5. Frankie Frank for 5 as well. Imperialist Gondola, thank you for the 2 as well. Garland Green, as always, man, a perpetual supporter. Thank you for the 50 as well as the 10. And we have Joe Leonard, Anonymous, with a fat 60. Thanks for the hours of entertainment. You're very welcome, man. And Garland, Garrett Ratchford with the 5er in the beginning. Thank you guys so much. That's super generous, and I really appreciate the support. Oh, yeah. And guys, got a lot of fun stuff. We'll have another qualifier going on midweek next week. So either on Tuesday or Thursday, we'll have our next ECL qualifier. And then that following weekend, I might do a bit of a spicy tournament, maybe like a 2v2 or something like that, a team tournament. But nonetheless, I am in the process of planning another faction war, so stay tuned for that, and we'll be good to go. White Lions do well against Tomb Guard, yeah, but it's usually the Spearmen are a bit of a, just like such a staple for the High Elves. But all right, guys, Joaquin, hopefully I said that right. Hopefully I didn't mangle names. I try my best. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you all, and stay tuned for updates regarding 40K content, faction wars, ECLs, all kinds of crazy stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care.